in St. Peter's Square, some of those Catholics are watching and praying and hoping.
I would like to see a more progressive poll.
I personally would like to have somebody who is more conservative, just going back to more of the biblical truths, rather than someone who's more progressive.
I'd prefer someone a little moderate.
Whoever is here is going to be good, and as Catholics, we're supposed to follow him and to trust that and to pray for him.
And inside the Sistine Chapel,
they will be locked in there, cut off from TV, internet, cell phones, magazines, newspapers. The only thing that's supposed to influence their decision-making is the Holy Spirit.
CBS News Special Report, I'm Vicki Barker.
We're following the conclave, and we'll keep you updated at the first sign of smoke here on 95.5 WSB. It is 64 degrees right now in Midtown Atlanta. Certainly cloudy today. Some showers around the metro. Bring your umbrella with you. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards will have Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast coming up at 12:05. Well, many of us are now wondering what's going on behind those closed doors.
If you're picturing what happened in the movie Conclave,
you know how rumor spreads, and 1.25 billion souls watching.
The interim director of Catholic Studies at Emory University's Candler School of Theology says there are some things it did get right.
It is a very dramatic, very theatrical, very ritualized process.
But Dr. Susan Reynolds says the movie overplayed the role of communication. She says cardinals are completely sealed off from the outside world and do not campaign as they vote. Jennifer Perry, 95.5 WSB.
Officials in Forest Park have now charged 2 known gang members in connection with an April shooting that left 2 people dead.
Investigators say it was a territorial dispute between a pair of motorcycle gangs that led to the shooting on Jones Road. Forest Park Police Chief Brandon Criss says one suspect, Donnell McKnight, is in custody, but the other, Nigel Blackwood, is on the run.
We ask the public, if you do know any additional information regarding this incident, to please give us a call.
The chief says only 2 people are facing charges at this time, but he is expecting more.
All of those individuals that are responsible for what transpired inside of the city of Forest Park will also be brought to justice.
Jonathan O'Brien, 95.5 WSB.
One automaker with Georgia ties cuts back on its sales forecast for the year.
Rivian Automotive predicts it'll sell at least 40,000 battery-powered vehicles this year, down from its prior forecast of 51,000 just a month ago. The company cites President Trump's trade war, saying tariffs could increase costs and dampen demand. Rivian builds all of its cars in the U.S., and a majority of its components come from North America. But the automaker says it did stockpile EV batteries from suppliers in Asia, which should support production through early next year. I'm Bloomberg's Monica Ricks for 95.5 WSB.
Well, for the second time in just over a week, another U.S. Navy fighter jet is lost in the Red Sea. The FA-18 jet was attempting a nighttime landing on the USS Harry S. Truman when the crew was unable to stop it in time.
The roughly $70 million jet going overboard and sinking. A U.S. official says it's not clear why the fighter jet was unable to stop. The 2 pilots, though, were able to eject.
Mary Bruce reports a helicopter rescued the crew members from the water, and they reportedly suffered minor injuries. Meanwhile, a Delta flight heading to Atlanta from Puerto Rico's turned around because of an unruly passenger. The Atlanta-based airline tells WSB the plane returned to the gate at San Juan, where law enforcement officials removed that passenger from the plane. No word yet on what the passenger's accused of doing or if they will face any charges. The airline says it has zero tolerance for this type of behavior. You may want to get to the airport a little earlier starting today as Real ID laws take effect. You can still travel without one, but it'll take a little longer.
This is about, again, safety and identity integrity, and we're really focused on enforcing this law at commercial airports.
The TSA's Adam Stahl says your license or ID will have a star logo in the corner if it's Real ID certified. The state of Georgia has been issuing those since 2012, so most people here are up to date, but you can check the TSA website for alternate forms of ID. That does include passports and military IDs. It is 12:04, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Watching some rainfall over on the west side, northwest side of town. I see some wet pavement delays on I-285. I'm looking to jam cam heading northbound, leaving South Cobb Drive, heading up through Smyrna Bindings. Camera lens is wet there, so use caution if you got to get out on the roads there, as well as where they're still clearing a crash from the right shoulder in Cobb, 75 southbound Delk Road, exit 261. Elsewhere, we just cleared up a crash right out in front of the building here, WSB, on Peachtree Street northbound. It's Spring Street, so delays improving there between Midtown and Buckhead. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Now it's time for Atlanta Radio's only 5-day forecast, sponsored by Shoemate, the official air conditioning of Atlanta. Here's WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards.
Cloudy skies today, a few more rain showers through the afternoon, staying cool with a high near 70, lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a few pop-up showers and thunderstorms, a little warmer with a high of 79. Friday, mostly cloudy, morning low 63, afternoon high 76. Saturday, mostly cloudy with an isolated chance for a rain shower, high 65. Sunday, mostly cloudy, high near 70.
Storm Tracker radar shows a few showers in the North Metro area right now. It is 65 degrees in South Fulton, 63 degrees in Dunwoody, and 64 in Midtown Atlanta. More news at 12:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Here we go, friends. It's the 5K a day bonus blitz. Your noon keyword is house, House, house. Enter the word house into the WSB Radio app or WSBradio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 to enter the keyword, win $1,000. The keyword is house. Don't forget, if you get a phone call after 12:30 from a number you don't recognize, answer. It could be us telling you you won $1,000. Noon keyword is house, House. Good luck.
America, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the nation. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, very happy to have you today. Back home in the home bunker, we had a hiccup this morning. The power went out, almost headed to the office to reset everything up, and then it came back on. So here we are. We've got to begin with the biggest story of the day. And, you know, my job sometimes is to convince you that a particular story is the biggest story, because you may want to talk about what Trump did or said or the overnight stories, but there actually is a very big and important story that we've got to talk about, and that is the situation in Kashmir. It is becoming very, very destabilized at the moment between India and Pakistan. And for a lot of Americans, you know, our political obsession and whatnot, we want to focus on the big news story of the day that might be in our backyard. But this one actually is a very big story, and it's one we've got to focus on. And there's a lot of history involved as well. If you go to any map, any printed map, any digital map, and you go to Kashmir in the area where the mountain K2 is, among other things, you're going to find very nebulous borders, dotted lines. There is a massive border disputes between India and China, between India and Pakistan, between Pakistan and China. You have an area of the world where you've got Afghanistan, Pakistan, Tajikistan, China, India, all colliding into a mountainous region where no one can really live, but for national pride, among other reasons, you've got a lot of obsession about landmass. And India and Pakistan in particular, for a very long time, have had a border dispute, and it all goes back to the collapse of the British Empire and sovereignty. Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh all used to be one land mass of people controlled by the British. After the British left, Pakistan and Bangladesh split off because they are Islamic, Muslim. India is overwhelmingly Hindu, and there were all sorts of religious, tribal, and other divisions. Now, we've got to fast forward into the Cold War. In the Cold War, India decided to assert its independence after leaving the British and become its own nation. You've got a massive continental landmass south of the Himalayas. In fact, India is moving north as a landmass. It's a subcontinental region, and it's moving north, and that's what causes the Himalayas to mountains as India pushes into the Asian continent. India wanted to assert itself. It wanted to be its own nation. It didn't want to be in a Western alliance. It didn't want to be tied to the British or the Americans. And something came about called the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Nations that wanted to assert their own sovereignty claims, and they would work together on different things. But the problem is the Indians and the Chinese have had border disputes historically for years. The Indians and the Chinese, the two most populous nations, don't get along together very well. And the Soviet Union and the Indians actually had very good working relationships. The Soviets and the Indians could establish themselves in working relationships with some level of independence because the Soviets wanted to use the Indians and their independent streak after the British separated from them in order to contain the United States in Southeast Asia. They had a good working relationship. The United States, on the other hand, went with Pakistan. The United States poured a lot of resources into helping Pakistan. Pakistan at the time in the 1980s had pretty pro-Western governments. When I was a kid, I think I've told you the story, our family was leaving Malaysia, headed back to Dubai from vacation, and the president of Pakistan, President Zia, was staying in a hotel. We had engine failure on our plane, had to return to Kuala Lumpur. There were no hotel rooms, so the president of Pakistan allowed my family to stay on his floor. We got to meet the president of Pakistan. He actually introduced me to Toblerone bars when I was, I think, 6 or 7 years old. The president of Pakistan introduced me to both a mini fridge and a Toblerone bar, and I got to watch zombie movies in his room at the hotel. He was assassinated shortly thereafter, along with the American ambassador. A PIA 747 jet, that's Pakistan International Airlines, was taking off, and someone fired a bazooka and blew up the jet, killing the American ambassador and the president of Pakistan. It's a reminder of our historic ties. Our American ambassador and the president of Pakistan assassinated together. Over time, Pakistan descended into a lot of Islamic radicals, and essentially what the Pakistani government did was they made a deal with the devil. They would collaborate with the Taliban because Afghanistan borders Pakistan, and Kabul is not that far away from Peshawar and Islamabad in northern Pakistan. Islamabad is the capital. Karachi is the big city in the south. And they decided that they needed to build relations with each other, the Taliban and the Pakistanis. And the Pakistanis were willing to fund Islamic radical groups because Pakistan is primarily Islamic. And the condition had been, of course, that these Islamic groups would stay out of internal Pakistani affairs. Well, Pakistan over time has become more and more destabilized with Islamic radicalism. And now in northern India and Pakistan, in the Kashmiri region where the border is disputed, there's been a terror attack killing a bunch of Indian tourists. The Indians blame the Pakistani government for using this Islamic terror group as a proxy for the agenda of the Pakistani government, and things have started to get out of control. Keep in mind, both countries are nuclear powers. Hot war on the border has started. The Indians have killed 26 Pakistanis. The Pakistanis have shot down 5 Indian jets. And notably now, India has shut down its dam that shares water with Pakistan. There's a treaty that goes back to the 1960s. Pakistan and India agreed to a water sharing treaty. Most of the water was held on the undisputed side of the Indian border behind dams that comes from melt from the Himalayas. It feeds into rivers that are then accessible by the Pakistanis. And the Indians now, have decided to cancel the treaty they've had since the 1960s, further escalating tensions in the area. Now, on top of all of that, in southern Pakistan, if you got my show notes today, I did a job trying to break down the complications here for you. There's been a terror attack now in southern Pakistan, in Quetta, Pakistan, which is southwest Pakistan. 7 soldiers have been killed. There's a Baloch Liberation Army. It's a terror group that's outlawed in Pakistan. The Pakistanis are now claiming that this terror group behaves as a proxy for the Indians. Now, you need to understand, the terror group that attacked the Indians actually is a proxy group that the Pakistani government in the past has controlled, and there are lots of rumors that a lot of these terror groups are getting out of Pakistan's control. Pakistan propped them up, basically said, you go deal with Afghanistan, deal with India, deal with China, deal with whoever you want to deal with, leave us alone internally. And now these terror groups that Pakistan has funded, well, they're getting away from Pakistani control. They made Frankenstein's monster, and now the monster's getting away from Dr. Frankenstein. There have never been ties between the Baloch Liberation Army and southern Pakistan, but now Pakistan is using this attack that killed 7 soldiers, saying, look, India's all over Pakistan. India has infiltrated Pakistan. And the Pakistanis now say they're going to respond with more force to India. The entire situation is beginning to destabilize there. Interestingly enough, one of the terror groups that Pakistan has long funded, trained, armed, is one you're very familiar with. You know them as the Taliban. When the United States invaded Afghanistan, a lot of Taliban soldiers fled into the mountains of Pakistan, which is to the east of Afghanistan. Again, Kabul is actually not that far from the border with Pakistan. There actually is a highway that runs directly between Kabul and Peshawar in Pakistan. The Khyber Pass, I'm sure you've heard of. The Khyber Pass is on the Afghani-Pakistani border. A lot of Taliban soldiers flooded across the Khyber Pass into Pakistan when the United States invaded. And to accommodate them, the Pakistanis, which again have a history of propping up terror groups on the condition they stay out of Pakistani internal affairs, they funded them, they trained them, they provided them arms. In fact, one of the dirty little secrets of the war with Afghanistan is oftentimes American arms that were directed to Pakistani forces wound up in the hands of the Taliban. Pakistan, though, has thought very arrogantly that it could continue to control the Taliban. Now the Taliban is back in charge of Afghanistan. The Taliban is now, interestingly enough, taking the side of the Indians. That's right. This is from Project Syndicate. Pakistan spent decades nurturing, sheltering, arming, training, and financing the Taliban, which it viewed as a convenient instrument for exerting control over Afghanistan and achieving strategic depth against India. But as Dr. Frankenstein discovered, you cannot always control the monsters you create. The statement issued by Afghanistan's Taliban government denouncing the terror attack in the Indian resort of Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir was eye-opening. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs conveyed condolences to the families of the overwhelmingly Indian victims, 26 civilians, emphasizing such attacks jeopardize regional security. It was seen as a slight at the Pakistani government. So now the Pakistani government is cornered. You've got India on the eastern side. You've got Afghanistan on the western side. Pakistan has been funding all of these terror arrangements, telling them to stay out of Pakistani affairs, and now they're closing in on Pakistan. The government in Pakistan is becoming destabilized. What is a way to rally people to an unstable government? Xi Jinping knows this well. A nationalist cause. The Pakistanis have just seen the Indians launch attacks, killing 26 Pakistanis after 26 Indians were killed, 47 Pakistani civilians wounded. This is a time for American leadership, and here's why. As I mentioned at the very beginning here, Russia and India have had long ties because the Soviets thought they could use the Indians to balance the United States in Southeast Asia. But India has border disputes with China. India and the Chinese, they don't get along. They've long been rivals. President Modi of India is a big fan of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a big fan of his. Russia and China are now solidifying ties. If Trump plays this smart, he might be able to realign India more in our direction than it already is. In fact, the Indians have come out in the last 24 hours, overnight in particular, saying they're willing to come to any terms Donald Trump wants for a favorable trade deal. This gives us an opening to exert American influence in Pakistan and India. The Pakistanis, they don't trust the Russians or the Chinese. They've had longer relationships with us. That country, though, is on the verge of internal collapse. The Pakistanis and the Indians despise each other. When I was a kid, I remember one time, tensions were very high. I had to have 2 birthday parties because my Pakistani friends and my Indian friends weren't getting along. I mean, the ties are tribalist, they're ethnic, they're religious, they're geopolitical, they're geostrategic. There are a lot of divisive ties between Pakistan and India. The Pakistanis have had good relationships with the United States, but it is widely believed now across expertise from left to right in the West that Pakistan is on the verge of historic collapse. The United States has the potential to help Pakistan avoid collapse while also bolstering relationships with India. This could be Donald Trump's moment if we play it right. This could be his moment. The situation is destabilizing, but it is solvable with leadership from the Americans. And by the way, you know, the first Indian American elected to nationwide office was Kamala Harris. She never bothered to go build ties with India. J.D. Vance's wife is Indian. His kids are half Indian. he has been trying to build that relationship. Now is a moment for American leadership in the Indian subcontinent and Pakistan, and Donald Trump is in the best position to be able to bring some peace to this area if he'll engage.
Have something to say? Hello. Call the show. 1-877-97-ERIC. That's 1-877-973-7425.
1220 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Still watching some wet pavement delays in Marietta, 75 southbound, leaving the South 120 loop down to 285. It's also impacting the ride through Ackworth and Kennesaw on 75 southbound as you leave Wade Green Road. Also seeing some brake lights, 575 southbound in Woodstock, clearing Highway 92. I'm going to check on that. This report brought to you by the 2025 FIFA World Cup. The 2025 FIFA World Cup is coming to Atlanta. Get ready for a global soccer showdown at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Don't just watch history, be there. Get tickets at FIFA.com/tickets. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
Here we go, friends. It's the 5K a day bonus blitz. Your noon keyword is house, House, house. Enter the word house into the WSB Radio app or WSBradio.com/cash. You have until 12:30 to enter the keyword, win $1,000. The keyword is house. Don't forget, if you get a phone call after 12:30 from a number you don't recognize, answer. It could be us telling you you won $1,000. Noon keyword is house, House. Good luck.
Welcome to Window Wisdom with North Georgia Replacement Windows. Today we're talking about long-term decisions with window and door experts, Ted Kirk and Jonathan Cullum, owners of North Georgia Replacement Windows. You guys are passionate about helping homeowners with your Infinity from Marvin fiberglass windows. Why all the focus on this window?
Well, we want all of our customers to have the very best for their homes, and all of our experience in the window and door business has led us to this one window that outperforms all others.
How long do Infinity from Marvin windows last?
There's a reason we say Infinity fiberglass windows are a decision you'll only need to make once. They're the most durable material available, paired with the most advanced installation techniques by our certified installers.
What if something does happen? What is the warranty on the Infinity windows?
Infinity from Marvin carries a limited lifetime warranty, backed by Marvin, who's been in the business for over 100 years. We also include a lifetime service warranty, which means if you ever have a problem with a window or door, we'll fix it for free.
Do you have to replace a minimum quantity of windows at one time?
Absolutely not. Unlike our competitors, we'll replace as many or as few windows as you'd like at one time.
So what type of special offers are you running this month?
We have some big discounts available right now. Please visit the special section of our website for more info. We've also partnered with some financing companies for flexible payment options to help make our windows and doors more affordable.
Right now at North Georgia Replacement Windows, it's time for stars, stripes, and special savings. You'll save up to 20% off your entire project, plus up to 12 months no interest, no payments. That's right, up to 20% off your entire project, plus a special financing offer, up to 12 months no interest, no payments. Visit our beautiful new showroom in Alpharetta and check out all the details on these special offers at ngwindows.com. ngwindows.com.
Infinity from Marvin, replacement windows, yeah!
This is Scott Slade, updating my health story. Now, I get a checkup every year, and last autumn, my primary care physician was troubled by a suspicious number in my lab work. Well, that led to a diagnosis early enough to give me options, and I'm more optimistic than ever about a good outcome. Now, when we're talking about our health, don't be shy. Level with your providers if you think you have a problem. We all need expert eyes looking us over every so often to spot trouble while we still have an option to deal with them. That's where virtual imaging can be invaluable. Virtual imaging's LDCT whole body scan can give you time and options for early treatment, especially for cancer. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. For a limited time, Virtual Imaging is offering their LDCT body scan for only $995 per scan. That's a $2,495 value. Appointments must be scheduled in May. There are a limited number of scans available at that price, so a few minimum requirements may apply. I'm living proof that preventive medicine can save lives, so don't put this off, especially with this offer from Virtual Imaging. Call 404-678-SCAN. That's 404-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com. That's virtualimagingatl.com. So don't put this off. Schedule this Virtual Imaging LDCT whole body scan for just $995 during the month of May. while you still have options.
Hey, it's Belinda. When I built my home 21 years ago, I called Arrow Exterminators. And guess what? Still no bugs. Spring pests are here. Termites, mosquitoes, ants. But Arrow's got you covered with the most effective and environmentally friendly solutions available. And they offer a 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. Call 888-GO-ARROW or visit arrowexterminators.com for your free pest inspection. And tell them Belinda sent ya.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Join Eric's Army of Activists. Text ARMY to 33777 now.
Welcome back. The phone number 877-973-7425 if you want to be on the program. If you text the word data, this is rather important for you. If you text the word data, D-A-T-A, to 33777, I've made the show notes available to everybody today, paid and unpaid subscribers. If you want to subscribe, it's $7 a month, $70 for the year, and you get a discount if you follow that link. But you got to understand the India-Pakistan situation. It's going to escalate further if we don't engage at some level. We're really the only country positioned to be able to help them because the Pakistanis don't trust the Russians, the Chinese for that matter. The Iranian or the Indians don't trust the Chinese, and they're becoming more and more distant from the Russians as the Russians and the Chinese get together. We've actually got pretty good relationships with both countries. We could exercise some influence. These are nuclear powers. Something we've got to consider and contend with because they are nuclear powers. Now, we got to move on to other stuff. But first, I want to say one small thing here that should be a no-brainer for all of you. But the idea that the federal government cutting funding to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting is an affront to the First Amendment is one of the stupidest things I have heard. And the fact that the people in charge of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, National Public Radio, and PBS are saying that it's an attack on the First Amendment means these are deeply unserious people and we should probably stop funding them. Government money is not involved when it comes to the First Amendment. These companies can continue to broadcast and say all the left-wing drivel they continue to say without my tax dollars subsidizing them. Tax dollars are not an infringement on the First Amendment, or lack thereof, an infringement on the First Amendment. And the fact that they're using this line shows you just how stupid and mendacious these people are. Shame on them for whining about it. Cut the funding. The funding should be cut. We got to stop. We got to stop somewhere. This is perfect money for the government to cut out of the budget. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting does not need your taxpayer dollars to survive. They're good Hollywood liberals and tote bag librarians around the country who can write them a check and keep them funded. Now, I want you to go to EdenPureDeals.com today. Get an Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You get 3 of them. You can save $200. Get them for less than $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm is an air purifier. It gets rid of pollen, dust, pet dander. It gets rid of 99.9% of bacteria and viruses. It gets rid of smells. It gets rid of odors. It generates ozone that touches the charged particles as a odor ion and wipes them out. Litter box odors, dirty diaper odors, smoke odors, nothing can stand up to the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You can get 3 of them. One for upstairs, downstairs, your basement, your travel bag, wherever you need it. EdenPureDeals.com. That's the discount code, EdenPureDeals.com. And you will be able to wipe out odors, get rid of 99.9% of bacteria and viruses. By the way, the thing is so small, I keep one in my travel bag. You can hold it in your hand. You can plug it in with a USB cord in a car. You can plug it into the wall, and it just wipes out odors. Used in rental cars and hotel rooms where people have smoked before me, and it takes care of those odors. EdenPureDeals.com is the website. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is ERIC3, ERICK3, at EdenPureDeals.com. Get 3 of them, save $200. EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code ERIC3.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's 12:30. I'm Austin Eller. This news brought to you by Jim Ellis Automotive. Our top story, the door to the Sistine Chapel is closed and the cardinals of the Roman Catholic Church are sequestered. Conclave to elect a new pope is now underway.
There's nothing else like it in the world, an election like this. It does have those ancient roots, and what they do is take away many of the distractions of the modern world, right? There's no cell phones in there. There's no communication. It's the cardinals with each other and their prayers.
Terry Moran reports a new pope will only be elected if he reaches a 2/3 majority vote of the 133 voting cardinals. One known gang member is arrested in Forest Park in connection with an April shooting that left 2 people dead. Investigators say the shooting stemmed from a territorial dispute. Forest Park Police Chief Brandon Criss says they are working to arrest another suspect as well.
Don't come to the city of Forest Park. If you do come to our city and you commit a criminal act, we will pursue you.
The chief is asking anyone with information on gang members to contact police. Students and staff at East Hall High School in Hall County are mourning the loss today of a teacher and coach killed in a motorcycle crash. The Georgia State Patrol says Victor Vega was thrown from his bike when an SUV turned in front of him while he was headed to work on Tuesday. He died later at the hospital. The East Hall Athletic Department calls Coach Vega a teacher, husband, and father who lit up every room he entered. A crisis team is in place at the school this week to offer help to students or staff who need it. We've got live team coverage of traffic and weather up next. It's 12:31.
Hi, it's Tim Andrews from the Von Hessler Doctrine for my roofer, FGA Roofing. Are you considering a new roof but not sure when you'll be able to get it into the budget? Spring is in the air, and our houses and our landscapes are getting manicured. But how is your roof looking? You know, a new roof can dramatically improve the look of your house. And I know, there are a lot of uncertainties in the economy right now. So, FGA Roofing has put together an offer you should consider. The 000 plan. 0 down payment, 0 interest for 12 months, and 0 monthly payments for 12 months. With FGA Roofing, you can get a quote in just a few days and your roof installed in just a couple of weeks. And the best part is you can wait and pay until it fits your timeline. FGA Roofing specializes in slate, tile, wood shake, cedar, and architectural roofs. Don't forget, it's the 000 plan. Hard to beat that, right? From FGA Roofing, where you'll get first-rate installation and quality service. Search FGA Roofing for a free quote today.
Novelist Robert Louis Stevenson said, "Sooner or later, we all sit down to a banquet of consequences." He's exactly right. Every decision, every action, every word comes with consequences. Pretending they don't hurts you in the long run. Make your move now, before the banquet. Confess what you need to confess and ask God for his forgiveness and help. This is Tom Gray, and This Stuff Matters.
ThisStuffMatters.net.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects, now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
It's 12:34, time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
And thanks to WSB's own Neil Hondo Williamson, just called in a crash, and I see it on the jam cam, trying to get it out of that second left lane heading up into Norcross, 85 northbound just before Jimmy Carter Boulevard, exit 99. That's why you're seeing some delays back toward I-285. Slow where it's been raining between Ackworth and Marietta on 75, both north and southbound, starting both ways right around Wade Green Road, as well as in Marietta around Delk Road. That's also got 575 southbound, slow with some flashing lights off to the right in Woodstock past Highway 92. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Cloudy for today with a few more isolated rain showers, high near 70, lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with pop-up showers and a few rumbles of thunder, high 79. Friday, mostly cloudy, high 76.
It's 64 degrees in Conyers, Norcross, and Midtown. More news at 1 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Greetings, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, very happy to have you. Just be on topic today, and the hard part is you don't know what the topics are, but we're going to talk about China at the moment. Having talked about India and Pakistan, we got to get into China in a couple of areas, one of which is there are a couple of economic stories you need to know about. So when the American dollar is pricing, and we've had a very strong dollar lately, the American dollar means it is real cheap for us to travel abroad. When the dollar is stronger than the pound, for example, or the euro or the renminbi or any other currency, we can go to those countries and we can buy a lot of their stuff for cheap. Now, a strong dollar does not necessarily help us in trade. However, a strong dollar helps a lot of other countries who invest in the dollar. And there appears to be a concerted effort now by the Chinese and other Asian countries to start ditching the dollar, selling the dollar, dumping the dollar in order to drive down the value of the dollar. Why? Because it then puts those countries in a better competitive position to negotiate when it comes to tariffs and trade. A weak dollar helps other countries, and so they are trying to weaken the dollar. This is causing fits in Taiwan in particular because the Taiwanese have tried to tie their currency to the dollar, and a strong Taiwanese dollar actually destabilizes their economy. So China actually sees a couple of reasons to help destabilize the dollar, one of which is it improves negotiating positions for other countries against us in tariff talks, and also it undermines the Taiwanese economy. Secondly, there's a story, I put it in the show notes, and you really do want to see the story again. If you text data to 33777, you need to follow that link. The show notes, it's open to everybody today because I want you to be able to see this story. Since the end of the Cold War, Bajukal, Cuba, has been widely rumored to be part of China's intelligence gathering ambitions on the island. U.S. congressional testimony and unclassified government documents have suggested the site has ties to China, and reported in English and Spanish language outlets has also linked it to China. During the 2016 U.S. presidential primary debates, then Senator Marco Rubio called on Havana to kick out the Chinese listing station at Bajukal. CSIS analysis of satellite imagery from March 2024 showed the site has undergone major updates over the recent decade, indicating an evolving mission set. Multiple antenna fields were visible across the expansive complex, and entrances to underground facilities could also be seen on the southern end of the site. Added to its capabilities, a new radome was installed within the complex in 2014, which may conceal a radar or other systems for conducting electronic surveillance. Let's zoom in from the world to the Western Hemisphere. As I have documented to you on several times now, several occasions, the Chinese, the Russian, and the Iranian navies are in Venezuela right now. I know that seems a little esoteric probably for a lot of people, but you got to understand, to the east of Venezuela is Guyana, which had been a British colony. And there is disputed territory between the Venezuelans and the Guyanans for territory. In fact, a lot of that territory has oil under it, and Chevron and other American companies have contracts to deal with that oil, and the Venezuelans want it. Well, the Venezuelans, to get it, there's river territories they got to deal with. The Iranian, the Russian, and the Chinese navies are working with the Venezuelans, training them. Now, I had a meeting the other day. It was off the record, but I can tell you this, and this is what you need to know. One of the hardest skill sets for countries of different languages and different strategic interests to learn when they develop an allyship is to learn to learn. How do you learn from each other when you speak different languages or from different parts of the world? It's something the United States and its allies had to figure out after World War II. And one of the ways the United States and our European and other international allies learned to learn after World War II is we started sharing soldiers. We would send soldiers to Panama. Panama would send soldiers to the United States. We would send soldiers to Germany. Germany would send soldiers to the United States. We would send soldiers to Australia. Australia would send soldiers to England. England would send soldiers to the United States. And around we went. We learned how to learn from each other. And because we could learn how to learn from each other, we could learn what worked and what did not work, given idiosyncrasies between countries. The Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians, the Venezuelans are starting to learn how to learn from each other. They're only just starting. And one of the test cases appears, according to Western intelligence sources, to be what's happening in Venezuela right now, as the Venezuelan, Russian, Chinese, and Iranian navies continue to collaborate to help the Venezuelans learn river military management skills. Now, go due north from Venezuela, and you will run into Haiti. Haiti is a nation in collapse. The Chinese are now sending emissaries to see if they can bring peace to Haiti. Now, it's very relevant. Why? Because what is due west of Port-au-Prince in Haiti? That would be Guantanamo Bay. Guantanamo Bay is just to the west of Haiti. To the east of Haiti, on the other side of the Dominican Republic, is Puerto Rico. And north of Cuba, of course, is Florida. The Chinese are installing spy stations in Cuba. They intend to bring peace to Haiti. They are training the Venezuelan Navy along with the Russians and the Iranians. This should be a big red flag to us that the Chinese are trying to expand into the Western Hemisphere in ways they have not in the past. On top of that, tariffs to a degree are making us vulnerable as other nations are mad at us who would otherwise be our allies. U.S. import booking volumes have dropped 35% since last March, according to the shipping data company Vizion, including a 26% drop between the week ended April 21st and the following week. Shipments from China dropped nearly 43% in the last full week of April, the sharpest decline of the year. During April, several weeks saw China import bookings down by more than half. The potential impact on companies and consumers is broad. Imports of Chinese electronics, plastics, vehicles, steel, and textiles have all fallen by more than half. Perhaps just as concerning for some farmers and U.S. manufacturers is that export bookings to China have collapsed. In the last full week of April, the number of 20-foot equivalent containers booked to go to China fell 73% from a year earlier. So keep in mind the perspective. 43% decline from China to the United States, a 73% decline from the United States to China. This is despite U.S. exports staying relatively strong overall with other parts of the country. China thinks it's in a better position to weather the storm. This is from Bloomberg. China is counting on its 1.4 billion consumers to cushion the blow from the tariffs. The strategy is running into a wall of uncertainty with millions of factory jobs at risk. Beijing has made expanding consumption a key pillar of its policy agenda this year, rolling out a 30-point action plan that includes subsidies for home goods, financial aid for childcare, and improved access to paid leave. But on the ground, business owners, office workers, and migrant laborers are tightening their belts, worried about job security and future income. Many say they're holding off on non-essential purchases and saving more for what they fear could be harder times ahead. We're definitely having an impact on China. The Chinese president, however, thinks that he can outlast Donald Trump because of one reason. He's a dictator. Donald Trump is not. Despite all of the belly aching by the American political left that Donald Trump is an authoritarian tyrant, actually he's not. And there will be elections in 2026 in the United States. There will be a presidential election in 2028. Xi Jinping will stay. Donald Trump will not. Xi Jinping thinks he can outlast Donald Trump. I don't know that he can. There have been protests in China, and those protests, you should note, over the last several weeks turned from decidedly hostile to Xi to very positive to Xi, and now they're back to hostility towards Xi. Factories are starting to empty out. Scott Bessent is headed to Switzerland to talk to the Chinese. By the way, Bessent seems increasingly to be kind of the jack of all trades when it comes to the president, when it comes to anything related to trade and economics at all. You got Marco Rubio and Scott Bessent seem to be the right and the left hand of Donald Trump right now. Xi Jinping wants to maintain broad employment in China. Our tariffs might undermine that. So this is the conundrum we have right now. China is expanding its clout in the Western Hemisphere. China is increasingly working with Cuba to update spy stations in Cuba to spy on us. The Chinese, however, have been in a depression, not a recession. A depression is when prices go down, everything goes down. And a depression is actually very bad because you may think, well, I want prices to go down, but here's what happens. The prices go down, the salaries don't, so everybody goes unemployed. And China has now had to start dumping more money into its economy to stimulate inflation to get out of a depression. The Chinese economy is weakened. But you've got this dynamic. Donald Trump thinks that China is ripe for the taking, and the Chinese think the United States is ripe for the taking. If there was some enterprising, aggressive third-party country out there that could weigh in on this, it would be interesting, but there's not. It's the world is now China versus the United States, and countries will be picking sides. The Chinese believe that they can outlast Trump because it's a dictatorship. But that might also escalate the antagonism towards Taiwan. Again, one of the things that Xi Jinping is trying to do right now is to destabilize Taiwan economically. And unfortunately, tariffs kind of play into that hand because it convinces other countries to drop American currency, which actually increases Taiwan's currency because they are tied to the dollar in various ways. And that then causes all sorts of problems in Taiwan. In fact, the Taiwanese insurance industry is in distress right now because of the rise of the Taiwanese currency. Listen, I know these are complicated issues. I understand that. My job is trying to make them as simple as possible for you, and I'm doing my best. And yeah, I've got a cold. I actually feel way better than I sound. But the bottom line here is this. You've now got a situation where the president of the United States and the president of China are in a game of chicken, both thinking they can outlast the other. The question is, can the peoples of both countries and their economies outlast both men thinking they can outlast each other? And I don't have an answer to that. It's going to be a wild economic ride over the next several months as shipping containers coming to this country are 50% empty. And American shipping containers headed to China are 75% empty. All of us are in this weird hostage situation where the presidents of these countries think they can play each other. I wouldn't bet against Donald Trump, though. The Western economy is more resilient, and European leaders to this day are still way more skeptical of China than they are of us. 877-973-7425 is the phone number if you want to call in. I got to tell you about Hillsdale College. They've got a great class on capitalism you should take. It actually talks about trade and free markets and how capitalism can foster morality, among other things. You go to Eric, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. You can sign up and take one of 40 different classes from Hillsdale College. One of 40 different classes. ericforhillsdale.com. You sign up with Hillsdale College, then you pick the class you want to take. They're with professors from Hillsdale. They're video lectures. You do it at your own pace. You get a certificate of completion, and they're completely free. You will never pay a penny. You go to ericforhillsdale.com today, E-R-I-C-K, ericforhillsdale.com. Sign up. Begin a relationship with Hillsdale College. They've been in the business of educating Americans since 1833, finding Americans where they are. Now with the internet, it makes them even more accessible. They educate. They do not indoctrinate. Surely there is a class you're interested in, a topic you want to know more about. Hillsdale's probably got to go look at the course catalog. 40 classes for free, video lectures. They're all engaging, all highly informative. EricForHillsdale.com. ERICK, EricForHillsdale.com.
Honest.
Putting your trust in me to tell you what's going on.
Transparent.
I need you to know this from the bottom of my heart.
Giving you the information without the noise.
My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it's to tell you the truth.
It's the Erick Erickson Show.
1250 Cool Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Got some fire department activity back in the right lane. Same spot again in Midtown, 7585 southbound, just below the on-ramp from 14th Street, 17th Street area, right as you approach 10th Street. It's in that right lane. It's slowing 85 and 400 south coming out of Buckhead in northeast Atlanta, as well as 75 south from Northside Drive. Traffic brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. Tonight's Powerball jackpot is $65 million. Powerball players can win millions playing in-store or online at galottery.com, only from the Georgia Lottery. Alex
On
Williams,
air,
95.
online, on the app,
Where you get your news
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
That's amazing.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every
This
weekday.
is Dawn in Brazelton, and I just won $1,000 from WSB.
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 2
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
on 95.5 WSB.
When your termite bond renewal comes in the mail, do you cringe wondering how much more are they going to charge me now? Switch to Breda Pest Management and your termite rate is locked in for 10 years. Christina Epwords here. If your termite service doesn't inspect inside, how do you know that you're protected? With Breda, you get total peace of mind that your home is termite free inside and out. And your termite rate is locked in for 10 years.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group, to discuss one of the biggest blind spots that people face when saving for retirement, and it's a head scratcher. Chris, how do so many people not know what they're invested in?
That's the biggest flaw that everybody runs into. They think they know what equities they have, they think they know what bonds they have, but they really don't know how those mutual funds or how those index funds are performing in conjunction with one another. So, I would liken this to a big pot of soup, and we're just throwing all the ingredients in the refrigerator in this thing. It's not very good. It's just a mishmash of stuff. And sometimes you like the way it tastes. Sometimes you don't. And when you don't know why. You don't know if you got too much chicken in there or too much vegetables in there or what's going on. And I ask every caller that comes in for an initial consultation, do you know how your portfolio is broken down? And they say, well, I've got, 20 or so options in my 401k, and I just picked 2 of them or 3 of them. I thought I needed some international. I thought I needed some U.S. equities. I thought I needed some bonds. And they're just guessing. So you have to absolutely know what you're invested in, and that's where we will run the 401k portfolio x-ray for you, because that'll break it down. If you're not proficient at investing and don't understand this world, we will walk you through it. Not knowing what you're invested in is a big hindrance to growing and protecting your money. We will run a portfolio x-ray for you and educate you on exactly what's in your portfolio.
Set up a time to get your complimentary portfolio x-ray today. Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858. That's 404-737-3858, or book online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Looking for that perfect gift at a quality and value that can't be beat? Libra Jewelry and Watch Company can help you make a big impression on Mother's Day. Whether it's with your mother or the mother of your children, make a big impression with a timeless gift. From elegant earrings to stunning necklaces, there is something for every style at Lee Brandt. Visit Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center on Roswell Road in Sandy Springs or at LeeBrandt.com.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB.
Text DATA to 33777 and you'll be in the know.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, and yeah, you really should today text data to 33777. I made it available to everybody because there is so much on the geopolitical front. We don't spend a lot of time on the geopolitical stuff here because, frankly, people, as much as it's important, a lot of people don't seem to be interested in it, but it really is the India-Pakistan situation, the Chinese situation, particularly with the spy sites in Cuba. This is going to become big stories, and I like to keep you guys smarter and more informed than everybody else with the headlines of the day and the big news of the day. And instead of just red meat, chum in the water, conservative rah-rah stuff, this is big news happening today. You're not going to hear about China developing spy satellites or spy stations in Cuba probably on any other conservative talk show today. So text data to 33777. Get the show notes, subscribe to it. If you would, you'll get a discount on the subscription. Get it in your inbox every day as the show starts. Now, I got to tell you, this hour of the program is brought to you by First Liberty Building and Loan. If you are in the business of business, First Liberty might be able to help you grow your business. If you see opportunity, you need $250,000 or more, your present lender is giving you the runaround, reach out to them, firstlibertyga.com, firstlibertyga.com. Scott Bessent is on Capitol Hill talking to members of Congress today. He is testifying. And this little interaction here, I got to play you this. This was in the show notes, this video. This is him and Maxine Waters. Kind of funny.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Bessent, this is the first time we've met. Is that correct?
No, ma'am. We actually met one New Year's Eve in the Bahamas. And I was...
He didn't make an impression.
Why
don't I remember that?
Well, you were much better at the electric slide than I was. And I was with the Prime Minister of the Bahamas yesterday, Prime Minister Davis, who sends his regards.
Well, were you with my husband when he was the ambassador to the Bahamas appointed by Clinton?
So,
well,
the look on her face. She's just absolutely been dazzled by this guy. She was not expecting that. She wanted to ask tough questions to him and had a very hard time asking tough questions to him. He also had another exchange where he just flat out refused with another member of Congress to give her any updates on trade negotiations, saying it would undermine the American position were he to do it. He's very good on his feet, which is another reason, by the way, that Donald Trump is expanding his portfolio and putting him in charge of so much stuff, he and Rubio as well, that the members of Congress tend to like them. They tend to not be too offensive, but they can, behind the scenes, be street fighters if need to be. So it's going to be interesting to see how much further Bessent rises. When we come back, we got to switch gears to the budget negotiations. There's actually word out. It's going to upset some of you. Makes me a little angry myself. Moderate House Republicans are telling the Speaker of the House that they may kill Donald Trump's tax plan. Why? Because part of the way they want to do the tax plan is to save money by defunding Planned Parenthood. And some moderate Republicans insist that we must fund Planned Parenthood. And they're willing to kill the tax deal to save Planned Parenthood. I'll give you the details when we come back, right here on the Eric Erickson Show nationwide.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE, 855-51-BIBLE.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 1 o'clock, I'm Austin Eller. This news brought to you by Window Nation. Our top story with the Cardinals now within the closed doors of the Sistine Chapel. Many are likely wondering just what's happening as they work to choose the next pope.
Yes, there might be some drama, as there was in the Oscar-winning film.
We'll never find a candidate who doesn't have any kind of black mark against them.
But Emory University's interim director of Catholic Studies, Dr. Susan Reynolds, says the movie did get some details wrong.
The one thing that the movie, I think, overplays is the role of communication with the outside world during the conclave itself. It really is sealed off.
Reynolds says she would be surprised if there's no consensus among the Cardinals by this weekend. Jennifer Perry, 95.5 WSB.
It is 65 degrees right now in Midtown Atlanta. Cloudy today, some showers around the metro up in the northeast area right now. WSB meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. A federal child sex abuse sting nets hundreds of suspects nationwide and about a dozen here in Georgia.
5 people from Atlanta, 2 from Augusta, and 2 out of the Rome area are facing charges ranging from possession of child sexual abuse material to enticement of a minor.
Operation Restore Justice was designed to coincide with April, which was designated as Child Abuse Prevention Month. So this past week, all 55 field officers participated by conducting arrests.
FBI Special Agent in charge Paul Brown says last week alone, 205 people were arrested and 115 children were rescued nationwide. Daphne Young, 95.5 WSB.
Well, the Federal Reserve is set to meet again this afternoon, and despite growing pressure from the White House, it's not likely to lower interest rates. Those rates remain unchanged so far this year.
We have to look at the bigger picture here, as always. The economic picture is a mixed bag. We had, GDP falling into negative territory, but also the jobs report beat expectations. Inflation is doing better than expected.
But Jolene Kent does report some experts are projecting there is a possibility of rates being cut in July. Disney announcing today it's working on a new theme park for the first time in 15 years. Disney CEO Bob Iger says the resort in Abu Dhabi will be the company's first park in the Middle East.
It will be anchored by a castle. And again, the modernization that is Abu Dhabi, the castle will be the first real modern castle that we built.
Now, it will take some time, but they say the park could open as soon as the early 2030s. The initial plan does include one theme park and an undisclosed number of hotels. We've got live team coverage of traffic and weather next. It's 102.
This is Scott Slade. Nothing takes the place of time when it comes to spotting problems with your health, especially cancer. The earlier, the better. Like me. My doctor saw one lab work number that led to a diagnosis early enough, so I still had options. That's where virtual imaging comes in. They've got the best CT imaging in the Southeast with 98% accuracy and low radiation. Virtual imaging's LD CT whole body scan can be invaluable, giving you time and options for early treatment. They can detect tumors as early as precancerous virtually anywhere in your body, and aneurysms you may not even know are there. For a limited time, Virtual Imaging is offering their LDCT body scan for only $995 per scan. That's a $2,495 value. Now, appointments must be scheduled in May. There are a limited number of scans available at this price, so a few minimum requirements may apply. Don't put this off. I've done it. Call 404-678-SCAN. That's 404-678-SCAN. Or make an appointment by visiting their website at virtualimagingatl.com.
There's a new optimism in the air, and we think investors like you might have the best year ever. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. Last year, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Everyday folks from all walks of life have enjoyed 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of small businesses right here at home. If you're a qualified investor and have a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest rates. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. We believe this is going to be a special year and a great year. We've got the projects. Now we need partners like you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com and see if our First Liberty notes are right for you. Go to FirstLibertyGA.com. That's FirstLibertyGA.com.
First Liberty notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. Purchasers must verify their SEC accredited investor status. Securities are not being offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
Scott Slade here from iRoofer, FGA Roofing. Are you considering a new roof but not sure when you're going to be able to get it into the budget? FGA Roofing is offering a 000 offer this month. 0 down payment, 0 interest for 12 months, and 0 monthly payments. Search FGA Roofing for a free quote today.
Guys, if you're having ED or performance issues and Viagra and Cialis haven't worked, you need to come see Choice Men's Health. Give us a call or visit us online at choicemenshealth.com. Get your love life back and choose Choice Men's Health.
It's 1:05. Time for live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Getting very slow through downtown. Coming up from the airport, traffic troopers tell me police activity. 75-85 northbound before I-20. I think multiple lanes are blocked there, trying to get eyes on it, but you're already slow before University Avenue. If you're traveling southbound into Midtown and downtown, that earlier fire department activity cleared out of the right lane. 75-85 southbound past 17th Street, but still slow from the 85-400 merge. And a new right lane crash. 285 westbound, the Outer Loop, New Northside Drive, Powers Ferry Road, exit 22, causing delays in Sandy Springs. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Cloudy skies with isolated rain showers throughout the afternoon. High near 70, lows tonight in the low 60s. Tomorrow mostly cloudy with scattered rain showers, high 79. Friday mostly cloudy, high 76.
It's 65 in Forest Park, 64 in Mableton, and 65 in Midtown. More news at 1:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
1, 0, all engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Greetings, America. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the show, we got a lot to cover, though, today, so being a little stingy with phone calls. We've had plenty of calls the last few days. We got a lot of news today. Text the word Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777 if you want to get the live stream, the show notes, the podcast, the social media links. We'll send you a laundry list of links back where you can stay in touch and follow us on YouTube, Rumble, and the like. We got to get to the reconciliation plan on Capitol Hill because there are all sorts of issues with it. One of them is this is from Politico, 32 House Republicans are demanding that House Republican leadership adhere to strict spending cuts in the legislative package central to enacting President Trump's domestic policy agenda. Lloyd Schmucker of Pennsylvania, he's the Budget Committee Vice Chair, sent a letter to Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise saying, under the House's framework, the reconciliation bill must not add to the deficit. Signers of the letter include several members of the Ways and Means Committee, a number of lawmakers in the House Freedom Caucus, including Andy Harris of Maryland. Their warning comes as House Republicans are rushing to resolve major inter-party differences in time to hold markups next week in the committees on Agriculture, Energy, and Commerce and Ways and Means. The last panels to schedule meetings to advance portions of the bill necessary to enact broad swaths of President Trump's tax, border security, and energy agenda. Smucker and his allies are specifically demanding leadership reduce the amount of tax cuts they're planning if lawmakers can't find enough spending cuts to reduce the hit to their deficit reduction targets. It goes back to an amendment Schmucker made in the House Budget Resolution, which set the parameters for the party line mega bill, dictating that the Ways and Means Committee can cut taxes by $4.5 trillion, but only if lawmakers cut spending by $2 trillion. The problem here, of course, is that they can't agree on what $2 trillion to cut. Now, wait, there's more. This was going to ruffle your feathers. This is from Notice. Moderate Republicans will likely be anti-abortion advocates' biggest hurdle in their mission to ban federal funding from Planned Parenthood in a reconciliation package, and some are already voicing opposition. Defunding Planned Parenthood was brought up briefly in a Tuesday evening closed-door meeting between Mike Johnson, Steve Scalise, and moderate Republicans when they were discussing potential Medicaid cuts. One of the sources said Representatives Michael Lawler, Brian Fitzpatrick, and Jen Kiggins were among the moderate Republicans who made it clear to House Republican leadership that they oppose adding a measure to cut federal funding to Planned Parenthood to a reconciliation bill. When noticed asked whether defunding Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers was discussed, Johnson demurred, saying while leaving his office that it was not on our agenda. Other Republicans were also cautious leaving the meeting. That was a closed-door discussion. I'm not going to get into it, said Jeff Van Drew. There is real concern among some Republicans that leadership will still add defunding Planned Parenthood language to the reconciliation bill, even after Tuesday's discussion. Brian Fitzpatrick says we need simplicity in the bill. I think there are other policies we need to focus on. Republican members of the House Energy and Commerce Committee are scrambling to find $880 billion in cuts, a near impossible task without making deep cuts to social benefits. The move to defund Planned Parenthood, including whether to bar Medicaid reimbursements from being available to the organization that provides abortion, has been floated in several meetings. Y'all, those are the news headlines, but here, we got a real problem. Planned Parenthood is not just an evil organization. It's an organization that routinely goes after Republicans. These moderate Republicans are absurd to think that Planned Parenthood won't go after them when given the opportunity. Time and time again, Republicans cut off their nose to spite their face. Time and time again, Republicans fund organizations that then go after them. Look at Republicans in some states funding teachers' unions. Look at Republicans in states like mine in Georgia, where some of them don't want to fund school choice. Now you've got federal Republicans, a lot of them from New York State, that are insisting they may sabotage the president's tax plan in order to continue funneling federal tax dollars to Planned Parenthood. It is an abomination that Republican members of Congress would wish to fund Planned Parenthood. They've got to cut something. And this is part of the problem, too. I mean, I just read that other article to you. The Republicans are going to find $2 trillion to cut. Donald Trump has already said no Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. You can't make any cuts to those. Those are where you need to cut, to be frank with you. We need to cut those institutions because they're the ones bleeding us dry. We can't even raise our defense spending in this country, which we badly need to do because the social service programs and social welfare programs are bleeding us dry. So where are you going to cut? Cutting PBS funding is an easy way to start. A few $100 million. Cutting Planned Parenthood, another few $100 million. Pretty soon that gets you over $1 billion in cuts. You start cutting stuff like that. This little piecemeal, and this is part of the problem. We have such a small House majority. Every single House member on the GOP side has some level of clout to weigh in on this, but it's deeply damaging and destructive. We've got to be able to do something about this. We've got to be able to shut this down. The fact that Planned Parenthood is still getting funded by Republicans is ridiculous. It's absurd. And yet, these guys are willing to sabotage the president's plan in order to keep it funded. It's just infuriating to me that this would happen, and yet here we are. Here we are. Now, while this is also happening, related to the budget deal, and this is in the show notes this morning, President Trump's feud with American elite universities is lending momentum to Republicans on Capitol Hill who want to increase a tax on wealthy college endowments by tenfold. House Republicans already were considering a hike in the tax on college endowments, earnings from 1.4% to 14% as Trump's tax bill. As the president raises the stakes in his fight with Harvard, Columbia, and other Ivy League schools, lawmakers are floating raising the rate as high as 21%, in line with the corporate tax rate. It appears no decision has been made. In a letter blocking Harvard from new funding on Monday, the Trump administration drew attention to the school's largely tax-free $53 billion endowment, noting it's bigger than some nations' economies. Trump previously said he wants to see Harvard stripped of its tax-exempt status. In a letter to Brown University last month, Representative Troy Nehls of Texas has proposed legislation with the higher rate, said lawmakers are considering about the priorities of universities that operate in a largely tax-free world. Colleges weren't taxed on their investment gains until Trump's 2017 tax package, and it applied a 1.4% levies to schools that enroll at least 500 students and have $500,000 per full-time student in the bank. That generated $380 million from 56 colleges last year. Now, let's go back to this idea. I'm kind of okay with raising taxes on college endowments for the Ivy Leagues. I mean, these are increasingly institutions hostile to the United States anyway. In fact, by the way, the New York Times says this story. They're laying off 180 people at Columbia University, citing intense strain on Columbia's finances and research mission. Claire Shipman, the university's acting president, said in an announcement that Columbia would also be running lighter footprints of research infrastructure in some areas affected by cuts by the Trump administration. The university, she added, is continuing to negotiate with the federal government for the return of the grants and is seeking alternative sources of funding. We've had to make deliberate, considered decisions about the allocation of our financial resources, Ms. Shipman wrote in a note to the campus, which was also signed by other administrators. Those decisions also impact our greater resource, our people. We understand this news will be hard. A Trump administration anti-Semitism task force cut $400 million in funding in March because of what it described as the school's failure to protect Jewish students from harassment. It demanded Columbia make changes in how it functions for the money to be restored. Columbia complied with the first round of demands, but negotiations on returning the money continue. More than 300 multi-year research grants have been cut significantly, many of them in medical research. Columbia received about $1.3 billion in federal research funds in 2023, with the National Institutes of Health providing $747 million of that. An additional $206 million came from programs within the Health and Human Services Department. I'm sure the Democrats are going to limit the loss of jobs, and I'm sure they'll limit the funding, but when you got a $38 trillion national debt, why are we giving it to anti-Semites to begin with? Why are we giving money to Planned Parenthood to begin with? We got to cut somewhere. And nobody seems to know where to cut. Nobody knows what to cut. Republicans don't even want to cut Joe Biden's Green New Deal's package. That's absurd. Chip Roy has been pointing this out. You know, by the way, they couldn't get the rescission package done. Thomas Massie pointed this out. DOGE cut all that money, hundreds of billions of dollars. The White House sent up the rescission package to the Republicans in Congress. They're like, we're not touching this. Republicans don't want to cut anything. Democrats don't want to cut anything. At least Democrats want to raise taxes to pay for it. I mean, let's just be real honest here. I oppose tax increases, but neither side wants to cut any funding. At some point, taxes are going to go up. At least the Democrats are intellectually honest about it, even if I think it's a bad idea. Republicans don't want to cut Planned Parenthood. Republicans don't want to cut the Green New Deal. Republicans are divided on every other cut out there. They need to pass the president's tax cuts. So this is the bottom line here. The way the tariffs are working right now, they are slowing the economy. If you can get the tax cut plan done reasonably soon, that's going to have a stimulative effect on the economy. It's going to offset the tariffs. That Republicans in Congress can't figure this out is going to leave a lot of people wondering, why do we have them in charge? Now, the upside for the GOP at the moment is that nobody wants to put the Democrats back in charge. I mentioned this yesterday, the Dave Weigel piece at Semaphore, that as much as there is wide concern about Donald Trump's polling right now among Republicans, the reality is it's not benefiting Democrats at all. Nobody wants to restore the Democrats. None. And now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with education as well, and education funding. This is Linda McMahon. She is the Secretary of Education.
Now, let me just point out to you that the Department of Education was set up in 1980. We have now spent as a country over $3 trillion to watch the performance of our students continue to decline. And as I said in my confirmation hearing, we're just simply not doing something right. I don't think that education that is handled from a bureaucratic position in Washington, D.C. is best for the states. And we'll continue with the funding, The Title I funding, that's one of the things that's questioned, and people are afraid they won't get Title I funding, or our IDEA funding for our disabled and special needs students. That will all continue to go to the states. It might go through a different agency, or it may go directly to the states. But education, I think, is going to have more funding going directly to the students, which is where it should be.
Amen. And in the process, you can cut some of the money, too. Instead of paying for all the overhead of the deputy superintendent in charge of photocopiers and things like that, Republicans, they got to get together and figure out what to cut to be able to get the president's tax cut plan done. And the fact that you've got moderate Republicans standing up saying, we refuse to defund Planned Parenthood. After all these years, Planned Parenthood weaponized against the GOP. It's just asinine. Republicans are the ones who want to keep Planned Parenthood funded.
Those who love him, listen to find out what he's going to say next. Those who disagree with him, also listen to see what he's going to say next. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
120 Cool Day Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Crash 85 northbound, just north of Claremont Road, exit 91. It's in 2 right lanes, but no need for an alternate right now. That earlier crash and police activity on the connector northbound before I-20, exit 247. That's down to just a right lane blocked, and a right lane still blocked in Sandy Springs. Crash 285 westbound, the outer loop Northside Drive, exit 22. Traffic brought to you by Macy's Backstage. What will you find at Macy's Backstage? How about fun Mother's Day gifts? Get low prices every day on unique finds before they're gone. Find a location near you at Macy'sBackstage.com. Off price, on trend, arriving daily. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
On air,
online,
on the app,
where you get your news,
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB Radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
That's amazing.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every
This
weekday.
is Dawn in Brazelton, and I just won $1,000 from WSB.
Just enter the word at WSBRadio.com or on the WSB Radio app.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 2.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
On 95.5 WSB.
Smash burgers are all the rage these days. I love to make them too. I got one of those Weber griddles, and you could just make them, and gosh, they're crispy, they're thin. Stack 2 of them together, put cheese between both of them. Your family loves them. Omaha Steaks right now is going to give you 16 free smash burgers with their Built for the Grill pack. You go to omahasteaks.com/smash, SMASH. You can make them in a skillet, you can make them on the grill, you can make them on the griddle if you got a griddle, and they turn out perfect however you do them. They're flavorful, they're beefy, they are 100% premium aged Omaha Steaks beef for exceptional quality and flavor from America's Butcher. Get ready to smash expectations with the new Omaha Steak Burgers. Go to omahasteaks.com/smash. Order the Built for the Grill pack. You'll get 16 free smash burgers. That's 16 free smash burgers at omahasteaks.com/smash. See site for details. Y'all, these are amazing.
Men, trouble in the bedroom? Not anymore. Priority Men's Medical Center restores your love life in just one visit. Their painless breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE. Here's a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Have Viagra or Cialis let you down? Priority Men's Medical Center offers the most effective treatments that eliminate ED and PE, with men lasting longer than ever. 98% of patients see instant results on their first visit.
Priority Men's Medical Center's breakthrough treatments eliminate ED and PE, regardless of age or medical history. Your consultation and first treatment are free. You'll see instant results in the office. Plus, qualified patients get their testosterone checked free. Call 404-885-8885. 404-885-8885. To restore your love life in just one visit, call now. 404-885-8885.
Passion. It's the difference between getting it done and being exceptional. For your home's exterior renovation, hire a company passionate about your project. Trust the Plus. Painting Plus.
Hi, I'm Charlie. My passion for high-quality remodeling began when I started my business at just 15. Now we have grown to the Plus family of businesses. If you hear the Plus, it's us.
If your home's exterior has it, the Plus can improve it. Painting Plus. Siding, gutters, windows, decks, porches, roofing, and more. Trust the Plus. PaintingPlus.com.
Get pre-approved for your next auto loan at Coosa Valley Credit Union, or save money by refinancing your existing auto loan. Right now, auto loan rates are as low as 4.49 APR, but you can save even more money by opening an account with a direct deposit because we'll knock your rate down a whole percent, as low as 3.49 APR. This is Andy Harris, President of Coosa Valley Credit Union. Experience kinder banking and come see us at a branch near you.
Contact 706-235-8551 for more details. Equal Opportunity Lender.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Your non-stop news source. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
On Eric's show by calling 877-97-ERIC. That's 877-973-7425.
Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Let's go to the phones. Kathy, you're going to be up first today on the Eric Erickson Show. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Okay. I'm good. How are you?
Great. What's going on?
Well, I was listening to your show just earlier about cutting funding for Planned Parenthood and how these Republicans are against it. And I just did a quick search, and I saw that they gave $40 million to the Democrats for the 24 election cycle. Right. If they can afford $40 million to give away to politicians, why are my tax dollars going to them at all?
Exactly. That is a great question. Not only that $40 million going into the election, they're all going to help get Democrats elected. So why, for God's name, would Republicans want to keep funding them? Amir, you're going to be next. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Eric, this is Amir. Hey, I was trying to make a point of saying when Trump was elected, I actually kind of predicted already, saying I can understand if the Democrats don't want to vote for it. But I know that the Republicans are going to be the ones that are putting brakes on it. And sure enough, we're here where it counts the most, and they can't pull the trigger. All I'm saying is, why don't we go back, and I'm sure somebody can pull up a statistics on like 96, 97, 98 government when Clinton was president, and just say, okay, in each department we have this much employment in government. The size of government was this big. The expense to run a government at that point of time was this much money. We're going back to that exactly number, and let's cut it down to that. If it was able to run back then, why can't it run now?
Correct. Yeah, look, that's a great point. In fact, my buddy Russ Vought, who's the head of OMB, has long favored, just go back and reimpose the budget from 2018. You don't even have to go back to Clinton. Just go back less than 10 years to 2018, adopt that budget, and guess what? You would balance the budget pretty quickly. But nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to make cuts, cost of inflation and everything else. Nobody wants to do those cuts. We're going to have to get to that point soon, particularly if we're not going to take on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, which we need to do. We're going to be making some other draconian cuts to the government, which we don't need to make, and we need to increase our defense spending. We actually do need to increase defense spending in the country. We haven't increased it for quite some time. It was at 8% GDP when Reagan was president. It's not even 3% at this point. It needs to go up to 5% at least. Between bank collapses, between the instability right now in prices, with gold continuing to rise, Swiss America has been warning people about a secret war on cash. They're the trusted leader in precious metals in this country. They have been for 40 years. If you're interested in safeguarding your hard-earned cash from the secret war on cash, you need to get their free report. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They can educate you on protecting your assets. All you got to do, is go to or call or text 800-289-2646. The report takes less than 15 minutes to read. It can save on your retirement and finances. Just send them my name, Eric, E-R-I-C-K. Text them, my name, Eric, at 800-289-2646, or call them and give them my name, 800-289-2646. They'll send you the report. It takes less than 15 minutes to read. It is completely free. By the way, this war on cash involves digital currencies as well. Your crypto, the government's coming for that. 800-289-2646 is the number. 800-289-2646. Just text my name to 800-289-2646. Message and data rates may apply.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's 1:30. I'm Austin Eller. This news brought to you by Ben Hill Renovations. Our top story, 133 cardinals and some staff are now sealed inside the Sistine Chapel to select the next pope. There is expected to be one vote today with as many as 4 in any subsequent days.
What is needed for a pope to be elected is a 2/3 majority. And that 2/3 majority is not easy with so many cardinals. You need 89 votes.
Sabina Castelfranco reports thousands have gathered in St. Peter's Square waiting to see the outcome. That'll be announced by burning the ballots. Black smoke from the chapel will show if no one's elected, while white smoke indicates a new pope has been chosen. A teacher from Metro Atlanta is accused of threatening to shoot students and staff at his school in East Georgia. 22-year-old Mason Garrett of Newton County is a teacher at Warren County High School. He's charged with terroristic threats and acts. The GBI began investigating Garrett at the request of a school resource officer after an incident that happened last month. A new statewide survey from the Emory Center for Child Health Policy reveals a range of concerns among parents.
The survey of 1,000 Georgia parents shows some disparities among rural and urban parents, as well as some differences within ethnic groups. But lead author Dr. Stephen Patrick says many topics are universal.
Education, school quality, social media, bullying, gun violence, and mental health.
Some notable data points: 36% of Georgia households with children are food insecure. 86% of parents have a favorable view of vaccines. 80% support some form of limitation on gun access. And Dr. Patrick says there's one big takeaway.
We all have to be in this together for Georgia's kids.
Graham Carroll, 95.5 WSB.
It's 1:31. Live team coverage of traffic and weather next.
Breda Pest Management is the best when it comes to beating bugs, keeping out the critters, and protecting your home from termites. In fact, Breda's been protecting local homes inside and out for over 50 years. Hey, it's Dave Baker. You know when you're really good at something if you've been around for half a century. Here's what 50 years of Breda's expertise means to me. I don't lose sleep worrying about bugs and critters because Breda has perfected protecting my home. They're still family owned and operated. They care about you and they care about our community because it's their community too. No matter the season, no matter what type of bug or critter, Breda's got your back, protecting the inside and outside of your home. Here's to another 50 years of bug-beaten, termite-tossing, critter-kicking inside and out of your home protection from Breda. Get started at BREDAPest.com.
Breda, no need to be afraid of bugs.
For over 25 years, you've counted on All Four Seasons for garage and entry doors. But we also specialize in replacement windows with a lifetime warranty. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage and Entry Doors. Enhance your home's energy efficiency and curb appeal with a wide range of quality window options, backed by unparalleled service and craftsmanship. From garage doors to entry doors to windows, for every opening of your home, we've got you covered. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 seasonsgarages.com.
At Butler Lexus of South Atlanta, buying a car is more than a transaction. It's a 5-star experience because they value you. Enjoy personalized offers and luxury perks, all designed with you in mind. Visit ButlerLexusSouthAtlanta.com or call 800-NEW-LEXUS today. Butler Lexus South Atlanta, the standard of amazing.
The Scott Antique Markets is back at the Atlanta Expo Center, featuring hundreds of vendors with collectibles and merchandise from all over the world. We're on both sides of I-285, exit 55 on Jonesboro Road. Visit ScottAntiqueMarket.com for more information.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson. You wouldn't trust Mac with a jack to fix your home's sinking foundation problem, would you? I certainly wouldn't. Serious issues need serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, so are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG. Don't you now?
It's 1:34. Live team coverage of traffic and weather. Alex Williams is in the WSB 24-hour traffic center.
Still watching the brake lights, 85 northbound as you make your way past Claremont Road, exit 91. That's due to a crash. Been in 2 left lanes. No big need for an alternate, though, as you head up out of Brookhaven. Crash cleared 285 westbound, the outer loop in Sandy Springs, Northside Drive, Powers Ferry Road, exit 22. You're in recovery mode from Georgia 400. And a crash in the right lane on the south side, 75 north before Mount Zion Boulevard, exit 231. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
This is WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Cloudy for today with a few more isolated rain showers, high near 70, lows tonight in the low 60s.
Right now it's 64 in Sandy Springs, Decatur, and Midtown. More news at 2 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
He's got the courage to tell you the truth, even when it isn't popular. You're listening to The Eric Erickson Show.
Hello, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425, should you wish to be on the program. Real quick, I will be broadcasting on Friday from Southern Pines, North Carolina, doing a live event up there with WEEB, our affiliate up there in the Sand Hills region. So if you're around on Friday, you got to register for the event. WEEB990.com is the website. Would love to see you guys be up there on Friday afternoon hanging out with the audience as we start our tour of stations around the country. Now, we're starting in by the way, at Southern Pines, because they were the very first station outside of Georgia to put me on. And loved them, think very highly of them. They took a chance on me, still with them, and we will be doing events around the country throughout the year, and we will send you notice as we get out and about. I got to play this audio. The conclave is starting to pick the new pope, and everybody had to take an oath that they will keep everything secret. It wasn't just the cardinals who had to. It was the florists. It was the cooks. It was everybody. They've shut down all digital access in the Vatican. No cell phone service, no internet access, no nothing. This is the commentary from CBS News this morning.
So they sit the whole time? They don't stand up and most of them will tell you that while that's going on, they're sitting reading their breviary. That's a book of prayers that clergy have, or praying a rosary, or doing the one thing we know they're not doing is checking Instagram, because their devices have all been confiscated.
I believe the kids call it raw dogging it if you're going to go through a long period of time with no electronic device.
Yeah.
That's right. They're saying that the Cardinals, the distinct analysis of CBS News, the Cardinals will be raw dogging it in the Vatican. I can't add anything else to that. Wow. My goodness gracious. The distinct commentary you get from American news outlets on things like the Vatican. I want to talk about the Supreme Court and the trans decision from yesterday. Now, it is not a full ruling of the United States Supreme Court. However, the United States Supreme Court has decided to allow the Trump administration to go forward with banning transgender soldiers. Now, this isn't a surprise, and to anyone who thinks it's a surprise, the Supreme Court did the same thing in the first Trump administration, and it followed a familiar pattern where a progressive judge said they weren't allowed to do it, and the Supreme Court said, yes, as commander-in-chief, he can. We've got to understand that transgenderism obviously is a quasi-religious issue for people in this country, particularly when it comes to the left. It is a by-faith proposition for them that trans issues are real, that a trans person is not someone suffering mental health, but really is someone born into the wrong body. It is a religious issue for them. It's a by-faith proposition. It is by faith that though my body identifies as male, I'm actually female. Here's the problem. In the old line of thinking, remember, you're born gay or straight, and who among us can judge? We're not allowed to tell someone who's gay that actually this is an issue. No, you're born gay or you're born straight. But what they now tell you is that you're not born male or female. You get to decide for yourself. So who you sleep with is determined by your birth, but whether you're male or female is a choice. This is the wild apologetics of transgenderism. None of it makes any sense. It is the proposition of the insane that you can be born gay or straight, but get to choose whether you're male or female. Who cares what you came out of your mother's womb as? God doesn't get to determine it. And then they say, well, God made me this way. Well, why do you want to change it then? It's a by faith belief. And to normalize transgenderism, what the transgender community has decided is that you must be allowed to serve in all aspects of American society where anyone can serve, and that includes in the United States military. You must have access to everything. Otherwise, you're not normal, and you're not treating it as normal, and that's a problem. But therein lies another problem. As Eric Schmidt, the senator from Missouri, points out, if you've got bad asthma, you can't serve in the military. You can't serve on the front lines in particular. But the trans community wants to ignore the medical implications. Do you know, to maintain your transgenderism, you continue to take hormones. You're taking testosterone, you're taking estrogen, and you can't stop taking it. In addition to the surgeries to undergo, if you really get serious about it, the medicines that you take, the puberty blocking drugs, the you name it, and yet they think they should be able to serve. And the problem is they can't actually serve on the front lines. You can't go serve in active duty combat when you've also got to make sure you're taking your testosterone and your estrogen on a regular basis. It's a by faith belief that a boy can become a girl or a girl can become a boy, and then they wish to impose it on the rest of us and insist that it's normal, and yet people with lesser medical conditions are prohibited from serving in the military, and somehow, and this is where the by faith insane belief comes from, is that this is not a medical issue. This is purely an issue of gender, and they separate it from the medical issues. To their credit, the Supreme Court was having none of it. And they issued an order allowing the Trump administration to proceed with getting rid of trans soldiers. Now, I got to ask you a question about this. It's just rhetorical. You don't need to call in. Have you heard any of this from the mainstream media? Because you talk to members of the military, and they point it out. You talk to defense officials in the Trump administration, it's their number one argument. But I looked through probably 5 or 6 stories yesterday, and no media outlet wanted to point out the medical issue relating to trans soldiers. No media outlet covered it. Everything was an angle of bigotry and hostility. In fact, the federal judge who decided this is the first Latina lesbian federal judge in American history, appointed by Joe Biden. And her entire statement, she ignored all of the medical issues and just said, this is about bigotry and hatred and it cannot stand. And that is how the media decided to report it. It's about bigotry and hatred towards the trans community. It cannot stand. You have to allow these people into the military. And they totally ignored the actual underlying basis for banning trans members of the military, which is that the medical needs of the trans community prevent them from being able to serve. In the same way, someone with severe asthma cannot serve. Someone with terrible eyesight can't serve. When you're constantly having to take medicines that might not be available to you on the front lines that could deteriorate your health and your ability to perform, you can't perform. My problem with this is the lack of honesty from an American media that continues to take the side of the transgender community long after public opinion has shifted, and rightly so, because of the issue. And the trans community continues to use the media to bully people into silence, to bully people into changing their mind, to bully people into backing down and weaponizing the issue against common sense. Look at the fallout in Great Britain now. The Supreme Court in Great Britain has said that biological men are distinct from biological women, and one can't become the other biologically. The trans community there is having a meltdown now. They're out to get J.K. Rowling, who is a TERF, trans exclusionary radical feminist. J.K. Rowling is a socialist. She is a feminist. She is on the left. She is pro-abortion. But she insists that men cannot become women, and that has made her an object of ridicule among some in Great Britain for her insistence that men can't become women, and yet she's on the right side on the issue. She and I would probably agree on very little, but we agree on this very much. But if you say it, you get shouted down. It's wild to me that the American media is so in the tank for transgenderism. They can't be honest about the decision of the Trump administration, nor can they be honest about the practical implications of the Obama and Biden administrations allowing it to happen. You simply cannot serve on the front lines in this situation. They're not going to do it. But a lot of these people, you know what's actually going on, is they view the military as social change agents. And so instead of the military being an organization designed to kill bad guys and protect the people, ever since the civil rights movement, a lot of people on the left have viewed it as a way to advance social change in the United States. You integrate the military, integration of society is going to happen. You normalize transgenderism within the military, it's going to become normalized outside the military. That's their thinking. That's why they want to do it. They see it as a way to impose their agenda on society through the military. And along come these troglodyte conservatives say the military is not here for your social agenda. It's here to kill bad guys. And they get upset about that. And they use the American media to hide from you the truth. And the truth is transgenderism and military service are incompatible because of the medical needs alone. And add into the medical needs the mental health issues. You're not allowed to talk about that either, you know. That bad of you to bring up the mental health issues. And it just seems completely anomalous to the rest of the alphabet gang, where you can be born a lesbian or gay, according to their orthodoxy, but yet you get to choose whether you're male or female? What do you think is more likely? You get to choose to be male or female. The doctor can't tell. Even some media outlets to this day, American Western media outlets, talk about identified at birth, male identified at birth, or doctor determined, as opposed to you are. So much of the trans activist rhetoric is dependent on lies perpetuated by the media. It was actually encouraging to see the United States Supreme Court refuse to bend to the lie and allow the President of the United States to do the right thing, which is to say trans soldiers undermine military readiness. It's true. You may not like it, but it's true. You may say we should accommodate them in some way, but shouldn't every member of the military be prepared to go fight on the front lines and not just serve administrative comfy positions, not just serve in the bureaucracy? But if a war comes, you got to go serve on the front lines. Everyone, well, not me, because I got to stay home to take my estrogen. The Trump administration did the right thing, and so did the Supreme Court. And that's a good thing. Now, I want you to go to Vision Computers. If you need new technology, if you're buying a computer, you're building a computer, go to visioncomputers.com or call them at 404-COMPUTE. Tell them I sent you. They can save you some money. If you just need their tech support, you can pay $179 a year for it. You get a discount if you use my name at 404-COMPUTE. And you, your employees, your family, whoever has the computer from Vision, well, if you get the computer from Vision, it comes for free. But if you got an existing computer, but you need tech support and you can't afford an IT guy, Vision's that for you. Now, think about your kid. Your kid's in the gig economy. Your kid's a blogger or writer or whatnot, running a Substack like me, TikTok, what have you. They need help. They can't afford IT. It might be a great gift for you to just get them the tech support from Vision Computers, but they can build you a computer. They can upgrade your computer. They can save you some money. They deliver you prime technology. And then you get their award-winning customer service where they're going to help you. They can answer any question. You get the answer faster than you can get online and search for the answer. They'll give you the answer. You get a special number, and they take care of you. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com. 404-COMPUTE. You call Vision Computers. Tell them Eric sent you. You're going to save some money. 404-COMPUTE or visioncomputers.com.
When the truth seems hazy, Eric will clear the way. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
149 Cool Ray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center, making progress with a multitude of crashes we've been monitoring around the metro area. All gone. 85 northbound north of Claremont Road, exit 91. That crash is cleared, as well as the one in Morrow, 75 northbound just before Mount Zion Boulevard, exit 231. Delays in out of Stockbridge are improving. Traffic brought to you by Active Pest Control. Termites are one of the most destructive pests. Let Active Pest Control develop a custom termite control plan for your home. For a free quote, visit activepestcontrol.com today. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
The Papal Conclave is underway.
133 cardinal electors, the most of any conclave.
What does it mean for over 1 billion Catholics worldwide and Catholics here in Atlanta?
We're going to be looking way over there for the smoke.
For breaking news, the details, and what it all means to you, stay with 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's breaking news station.
The golden rule. Maybe it sounds a little old-fashioned, but it never goes out of style. Wouldn't it be great if everybody lived by it? My experts at Finley Roofing do. Home Fix It Show host Dave Baker here. Home improvement horror stories are common. So when it comes to your roof, don't settle. Think of Finley first. The roof guys. Finley practices the golden rule and will treat your home like it's their own. Go with the guys that took care of me. They'll treat you right, too. Schedule your free roof analysis today. FinleyRoofing.com. Roof.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Beckers in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
Hey homeowners, it's Eric Erickson here. Do your windows and doors stick? Are you noticing cracks in the drywall or the brickwork? You might have a big problem. Serious issues need the serious experts at Engineered Solutions of Georgia. Their skills are unmatched, as are their foundation solutions. When these guys repair a problem, it's the last time you'll have to worry about it. Done once, done right. Start today with a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
WSB Atlanta, WSB BFM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
When someone's AC is on the fritz, drains are clogged, or wall outlets are sparking, Castile Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical never asks, how soon do you need it fixed? You know why? Because no one in recorded history has ever said, oh, take your time, just whenever you can get to it. We just assume how fast can you get here will always be the answer. So Castile will be there same day, and we won't leave until you're 100% satisfied. See? Sometimes it's good to assume. It gets your AC fixed fast. Book today at CastileAir.com.
You still want a new deck on your house, but you think you may have missed a deck building window? Well, you're wrong. Dave Baker here. At Ben Hill Renovations, deck building goes on year-round. Whether your existing deck is old, rotting, and unsafe, or you just want to upgrade your outdoor living space, now is the perfect time to get the ball rolling. Check out their new website at bhrenovations.com. Better yet, go to their showroom, speak with the designer, and see all that they have to offer up close. Ben Hill Renovations, creating raving fans since 1964.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
Giving you the truth, not the talking points. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there and welcome. As you know, there is lots of controversy over Ed Martin. Ed Martin is the would-be U.S. attorney in D.C. His nomination all but dead now in the Senate Judiciary Committee because Tom Tillis, North Carolina, refuses to support him over the January 6th concerns. Chuck Grassley won't put him up for a vote. There's now a movement among MAGA activists to demand that John Thune strip Tom Tillis from the Judiciary Committee. He can't do it. They don't understand how the Senate works. It's not going to happen. Ed Martin's nomination is all but dead unless something changes. So if you want Trump to have his U.S. attorney pick, well, you got to find a new nominee. Rob, you're going to be the next caller on the Eric Erickson Show. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, thank you. Just wanted to comment on the validity of the position of the Army or the military concerning medical qualifications with medication. Sure. My daughter is currently an officer in the Army. However, she's developed the problem with her pancreas that she has to take medication twice a day, and they are putting her up for medical discharge because though she's a staff officer, she will not be able to deploy. So they're not singling out trans people. It's everybody. It's across the board.
Look, that's a good point. I'm glad you were able to call in, Rob, because they've been doing this more and more in the last number of years. Not just the Trump administration with the reduction in flag officers and the like, but the reductions across the board with those who aren't able to be on the front lines. There is, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, there are growing warning signs around the world that something wicked this way comes. The alliance between China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba is they're starting to collaborate more and more. The Russians are now teaching the Chinese submarine tactics to deploy against us. The Chinese are buying Iranian oil and refining it in ways that Iran can use in rockets. The Chinese and North Koreans are sending troops to Ukraine. All of these things are coming at a time the United States seems a little bit distracted with internal problems. They are trying to realign the world against us. Now, interestingly enough, J.D. Vance is speaking was speaking on stage earlier today to a conference of Munich conference. It's European leaders and others. They're in Washington, D.C. He was asked about the Ukraine-Russia situation. There is a distinct pivot from the Trump administration on the Ukraine-Russia situation. I've got the audio. If you got the show notes, if you texted data to 33777, you can see it for yourself. But it's starting to raise eyebrows because remember, the conventional wisdom in Washington among the intellectual elite was that Donald Trump was in Russia's pocket. Donald Trump was in the tank. Donald Trump was doing whatever Russia wanted. Well, it doesn't appear that's the case. In fact, the Trump administration now more and more beginning to blame Russia for the situation. We'll get into that when we come back as well. Reuters has a report. Remember Joe Biden's Gaza pier? Turns out, not only did one American soldier die in the process of building the pier, but far more were injured, and it didn't work. It was a massive boondoggle designed to placate a terrorist group and the American political left. And new data shows what a waste it was. And I wonder how much media coverage is going to come out about it, or are they just going to use the excuse that, well, it's old news now and he's no longer there? Because there actually is a lot of damning news about Joe Biden's Gaza pier project that does need to be preserved for posterity. We'll get into it when we get back. First, I got to tell you about omahasteaks.com. Their smash burger deal. Right now, you can get 16 for free. You go to omahasteaks.com/smash. And Omaha Steaks will get you their amazing burger package. They've got a great grill package. You get steaks, butcher cut steaks, hand cut by butchers. You get boneless, skinless chicken breasts. You get their gourmet jumbo franks. Those are their fancy hot dogs that are really good. They do not cause indigestion for me or my wife. I'm assuming it's lack of nitrates or something. They're really good. Normal hot dogs give us heartburn. These do not. You get the pure ground filet mignon burgers, and you get 16 smash burgers for free. Oh, and you get the caramel apple tartlets my wife loves. You go to omahasteaks.com/smash today. omahasteaks.com/ and the word smash, SMASH. And you can get 16 free smash burgers. It's an unbelievable value, and they're great. You can do them on a griddle or a grill. You can do them in a skillet. However you want to cook your burgers, they're going to work up great for you, and they really are fantastic. omahasteaks.com/smash is the word. Now, listen, this offer is going to go away soon. I happen to know the offer is going to go away soon. So if you want to get these 16 free burgers soon, omahasteaks.com/smash, you better hurry up.
That's your garage door. Almost broken, but technically not broken yet. And you know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So you don't fix it, 'cause it ain't broke. And it gets worse. Until one day, 2 a.m., raining alligators, carload full of dry cleaning, you push the button, and out of nowhere, guess what's broke? Your garage door. At Mo Better Garage, we make that way mo better. A garage door that's almost broken can actually do more damage than one that's fully broke. Jammed up parts put an extra strain on the motor, rollers out of whack stress the tracks and the belts. Fix it early, while it's still a simple repair, and before your car gets locked out, or locked in. How do I know? Because I'm Mo. Call Mo Better Garage and we'll come over and make it right. 'Cause if it's almost broke, you fix it.
Mo Better Garage, we make it way more better.
MoBetterGarage.com.
News,
weather,
traffic.
95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 2 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story. It's happening now. The doors to the Sistine Chapel are closed. Over 130 cardinals now behind closed doors for the conclave. The process of selecting the new pope dates back to the 13th century.
It's history happening right in front of us.
He's among those praying today at Holy Spirit Catholic Church in Atlanta. Reporter Sabina Castelfranco is at St. Peter's Square in Rome, along with thousands who have gathered waiting for black or white smoke to appear.
What is needed for a pope to be elected is a two-thirds majority. And that two-thirds majority is not easy with so many cardinals. You need 89 votes.
There's only one vote today. White smoke means there is a new pope. It is 67 degrees in Atlanta. Scattered showers around the next few days. Meteorologist Christina Edwards has Atlanta's most accurate and dependable forecast coming up. Several arrests are made in Georgia as the FBI concludes a nationwide investigation into child sex abuse.
I think this operation shows the FBI's commitment to protecting children, our most vulnerable members of society, from those who prey on them.
FBI Special Agent in Charge Paul Brown says the Atlanta field office charges 9 people in Georgia as part of this operation, including 5 in Atlanta. More than 200 people are arrested nationwide and 115 children are rescued. Members of a motorcycle gang face charges in a double murder in Forest Park, April 27th.
Our detectives were able to obtain 2 arrest warrants for 2 individuals. Their names are Donnell McKnight, he's also known as 1HQ, as well as Nigel Blackwood. They are both members of the Outcast motorcycle gang.
Forest Park Police Chief Brandon Chris says Blackwood is still on the run. The shooting happened outside of a business off of Jones Road following a territorial dispute. WSB recall alert is for a popular food item sold in Georgia.
The FDA says just over 4,500 cases of 15-ounce Yellowstone brown sugar molasses baked beans from Vietti Food Group could contain undeclared soy. The department says this could lead to serious or life-threatening allergic reactions in anyone who has a soy allergy or sensitivity. The recall specifically applies to cans that have a best of use by date of February 17th, 2028. They urge anyone who's purchased the impacted product to return it to the store for a refund. Austin Eller, 95.5 WSB.
And breaking news just in from the Federal Reserve. Interest rates are staying unchanged. Flags of a risk of higher prices and higher unemployment, the reasons given as they keep interest rates unchanged. It is now 2:02. This news is sponsored by Bread Beckers. Up next, live team coverage of traffic and weather.
At CertaPro Painters, we know that a happy place comes in many colors, like ones that inspire a sense of wonder, or a new flavor that makes life just a little bit sweeter, or one to celebrate those moments that lift you to new heights, at home or at work. We'll make your happy place your own. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Stay comfortable at home all year long with Jape Services. Hi, this is Daniel Jape, and our team has decades of experience servicing Atlanta's heating and cooling needs, which means you can count on us. We're licensed, insured, and I personally guarantee when you call Jape Services, you'll be treated just like family. Call us 24/7 or book online at japeservices.com. That's JAPE services.com.
Jape Services.
Hey, remember that crack in the concrete by your pool, the one everyone keeps tripping on? It's still there. AquaGuard Foundation Solutions can fix that. Just schedule a free inspection at aquaguard.net and a team of experts will stop by to help you out. Remember the name.
AquaGuard.
At Chain Company, we know getting engaged is a big decision. But once you know, you know.
That's the way our customers feel when they choose a Shane Company engagement ring. They walk into a warm welcome and walk out with their dream ring, knowing they got it right. For almost 100 years, we've been offering personalized shopping experiences. And we're in it way past the honeymoon, with a free lifetime warranty that includes the center stone, cleanings, repairs, and resizing for life. Shop with us at shaneco.com or at your neighborhood store. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Customers often ask, what's the right mattress for me? At the Original Mattress Factory, our answer is always the same. It's all about personal preference. You should select the one that feels right to you, because there isn't a one-mattress-fits-all solution. That's why we offer a selection of quality and comfort choices for every preference. And our sales team will help you find the right product for your specific needs. At the Original Mattress Factory, we have the right mattress for just about everyone. Stop by to find yours today.
Hi, it's Tim Andrews for My Roofer FGA Roofing. Are you considering a new roof but not sure when you'll be able to get it in the budget? FGA Roofing is offering a 000 offer this month. 0 down payment, 0 interest for 12 months, and 0 monthly payments. Search FGA Roofing for a free quote today.
At 2:05, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Much better news from our last hour. All the crashes we've been monitoring have cleared. Still seeing some brake lights, though, in Sandy Springs, 285 westbound, the outer loop from Georgia 400 as you pass Roswell Road. Downtown also getting a little slower heading into the afternoon. 85 southbound starts tapping the brakes around Georgia 400. It stays sluggish down to I-20. And everything cleaned up nicely on the south side, 75 north between Stockbridge and Morrow, where the earlier crash before Mount Zion Boulevard is gone. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Cloudy skies with a few rain showers today, high near 70.
63 in Sandy Springs, 66 in East Point, 64 in Sewanee. More news at 2:30. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is cool. COOL. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBRadio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is cool.
We've always been super cool to you.
COOL. Join me live at 3 for the Von Hessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, the third hour of the program today. 877-973-7425 is the phone number. I got an angry email from someone who wanted to call in and couldn't get through to talk about something, and I replied back very, very nicely and said, I have no interest in talking about the subject that you wanted to talk about it. It's not relevant to any news headlines today. That's what Fridays are for. You get a little more looseness on Fridays. You can call in and talk about your preferred obscure topic on Friday. Today, it's about the news of the day, the headlines of the day, and the big news right now is J.D. Vance is speaking at the Munich Security Conference. They're having it in Washington, D.C. He has been on stage at a Q&A over the last little while. This was in the show notes because this conversation actually happened just before noon today in Washington, being asked about the arrangement between Russia and Ukraine. And he said something that is making news if you care to actually pay attention to it, despite all the hostility and all the claims that Donald Trump is in the pocket of the Russians and J.D. Vance is in the pocket of the Russians. Listen to this.
Could you talk a little bit about U.S. strategy going forward? We all want this war to end. And let me say as a very personal comment, I think the Trump administration did the right thing by starting this process of talking to the Ukrainians, talking to the Russians. But the Russians seem not to be interested in the kind of quote-unquote deal that could be offered to them. So talk to us a little bit about how you see the next steps.
Yeah, so let me say a couple of things about this. First of all, I appreciate your kind words about the administration. Obviously, I think it was the right thing to do for us to start the process of negotiation. I think for too long, the Russians, the Ukrainians have been fighting. Obviously, there's been a lot of people dying on both sides. There's been a lot of innocent loss of life. And our view is it's absurd that you've had this war go on for so long, and the two sides aren't even talking constructively about what would be necessary for them to end the conflict. And I think that One of the things that President Trump has always been very good at, and he's gotten a lot of criticism, unfair criticism in my view, from both the American and some of the European press, is what I would call a strategic realism or a strategic insight. In other words, you don't have to agree with the Russian justification for the war, and certainly both the president and I have criticized the full-scale invasion, but you have to try to understand where the other side is coming from to end the conflict. And I think that's what President Trump has been very deliberate about, is actually forcing the Russians to say, here is what we would like in order to end the conflict. And again, you don't have to agree with it. You can think that the request is too significant, and certainly the first peace offer that the Russians put on the table, our reaction to it was, you're asking for too much, but this is how negotiations unfold. And I wouldn't say, I'm not yet that pessimistic on this, I wouldn't say that the Russians are uninterested in bringing this thing to a resolution. What I would say is right now, the Russians are asking for a certain set of requirements, a certain set of concessions in order to end the conflict. We think they're asking for too much, okay? And then obviously, the Ukrainians matter a lot. They're the other side, they're the other party, at least to the direct conflict. And we have to ask, what is the Ukrainian, what do they need in order to bring this conflict to a successful completion? And we're going to continue to have that conversation. Now, what the president has said is that he will walk away if he thinks he's not making progress. And I think that, about once every 4 or 5 weeks, you will hear some American official or sometimes multiple American officials say, this is a week where we need to make another step. And in particular, the step that we would like to make right now is we would like both the Russians and the Ukrainians to actually agree on some basic guidelines for sitting down and talking to one another. Obviously, the United States is happy to participate in those conversations, but it's very important for the Russians and the Ukrainians to start talking to one another. We think that is the next big step that we would like to take. And why does that matter? The reason it matters is because, again, I mentioned the Russians, but also the Ukrainians have also been sort of, they've put a piece of paper in our hands that says this is what we would need in order to bring this conflict to a successful resolution from our perspective. And there's a big gulf, predictably, between where the Russians and the Ukrainians are, and we think the next step in the negotiation is to try to close that gulf. We think it's probably impossible for us to mediate this entirely without at least some direct negotiation between the two, and so that's what we focus on. But
now, that clip again was in the show notes this morning, and it gives you some insight into the present thinking of the Trump administration, because if you've followed the tea leaves, read the tea leaves, you've tracked this for a little while, it's become increasingly obvious that the president is more and more frustrated with the Russians. Now, I want to step back on this for you and try to explain this one to you, because there's a lot of misstatements out there. There has been a belief since 2016, because of the lies related to the Steele dossier, and they were lies, that Donald Trump is in the pocket of the Russians. And so much of the Western political press leans left and is convinced that Donald Trump is committed to carrying water for the Russians, when that's simply not true. In fact, Donald Trump was harder on the Russians in his first term than Barack Obama was when he was president. Donald Trump expelled more Russians from the United States, imposed more sanctions on the Russians than Barack Obama, time and time again. And yet this persistent belief continued that Donald Trump was a tool of the Russians. They had blackmail on Donald Trump or some such. It was perpetuated by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And then after she lost, there was a need by Democrats to not recognize they had picked a clunker candidate, so they had to blame the Russians. Fact of the matter is, it's never been true. But then Donald Trump comes into office this time and is very, very, very hard on the Ukrainians. He's belligerent to the Ukrainians. And the talking point again becomes, well, he's in the pocket of the Russians. But if you've ever paid attention to the way Donald Trump does stuff, it was pretty obvious he was negotiating with the Ukrainians. He was trying to bluster and be a strong man. Donald Trump was trying to shake the Ukrainians loose from the mineral rights deal, which he finally got. Donald Trump signaled to the Russians, with his hostile statements towards Ukraine that I'm not Joe Biden. My administration is different. You can come sit at the table and negotiate with us. He signaled to the Ukrainians, I'm not Joe Biden. My administration is different. You will give me what I want or I will not help you. The Ukrainians, for a time, tried to call his bluff. And what did Donald Trump do? Well, he cut funding. Now, by the way, it turns out that right after he got elected in office, Pete Hegseth cut funding to Ukraine, and Donald Trump didn't know about it and made him restore the funding. Well, now he's got his mineral rights deal from Ukraine. And what's happened? He gets the mineral rights deal from Ukraine. It does not pledge American support to Ukrainian security, but certainly implies it, given American access to the rare earth minerals in Ukraine. It starts up a rebuilding fund that the United States and Ukraine jointly preside over, and Donald Trump gave up his insistence that Ukraine reimburses the United States for prior money spent that were not in the form of a pre-existing loan. Now, what's happened? Ever since the deal was signed, Trump's rhetoric about Russia has gotten a little more strident. He said he was aggravated with Vladimir the other day. He said, Vladimir, don't do it. Don't do it, Vladimir. When the Russians called for a ceasefire and then launched missiles during the ceasefire, Donald Trump was critical. Just the other day, Donald Trump, a bit exasperated, says, I'm beginning to believe the Russians don't want peace. And now here comes J.D. Vance on stage, the Munich Security Conference, and says the Russians are making demands. We think the demands are too much. The Russians and the Ukrainians are going to have to talk to each other, but what the Russians want is too much in exchange for peace. They're not going to get all of that. That's kind of, in my mind, a pretty big signal that now that Donald Trump used his bluster and gruffness to get a deal with Ukraine that benefits the United States, the Russian free ride in negotiations with Donald Trump is over. They had their chance. They could have offered something. The best they did was send Donald Trump a portrait painted of that famous AP photo after the assassination attempt with Trump's arm in the air, his fist pumping in the air. Vladimir Putin wanted to flatter Trump in some way. And, that played into the Western anxieties about Trump. Oh, Vladimir Putin is buying him off. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, Donald Trump is an American citizen. He believes in the United States. Matthew Continetti, over at the Free Press, is chronicling Donald Trump's graduation speech to the University of Alabama, which notably did not get a lot of play. The White House hasn't released the transcript. But one of the things that he said is that the American dream is real. And it's right before you. Trump fundamentally believes in the United States. He may operate differently from you and me. He may not be my cup of tea at times. There may be things about him I don't care for. But he's never been a Russian plant. He believes in the United States. He believes his success comes by virtue of being made in the United States. Last August, on the campaign trail, Trump had said the American dream is dead and pledged to bring it back. But to the University of Alabama this past week, he said the dream is real. It's there for you. You can, with hard work in this country, be a success. These were his statements to the University of Alabama last week. In this country, with hard work, you can be a success. The American dream is right there for you, in front of you. He's not a plant for the Russians. He just goes about things differently than what we expect from politicians, obviously. There are times I think he gets it wrong. I think the tariffs are one of those. I think at this point, it was pretty obvious to me, and if you're a long-time listener to this program, you've heard me saying since even before he actually was sworn into office that his bluster and rhetoric about Ukraine was trying to get Ukraine into a position that he wanted them in to give us the mineral rights deal. He's trying to get around the Chinese control of minerals around the world, and now he's got access to a lot of rare earth minerals in Ukraine that the Russians and the Chinese aren't going to be able to have access to. Why? Because as Scott Bissett said last week, no country and no individual who has helped the Russians will have access to these resources in Ukraine. The Chinese right now have active combatants helping the Russians on the field in Ukraine, and we know it. We've documented it. The Trump administration has paid attention to it. So here comes this realignment. And I suspect Trump does want to get a resolution to this war. You know, the conventional wisdom at the time was that he was going to realize it wasn't possible and wash his hands of it. Now it looks like he's got a mineral rights deal with Ukraine. He's got skin in the game, and he's going to want to help Ukraine. If the Russians aren't willing to sit at the table, Trump has now signaled we've got an investment in Ukraine. And you know what's so funny is now you've got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene out there screaming about it, saying this is bad. This is bad stuff. I'm the base. It's an arrogant pretension to self-describe yourself as I am the base. C'est moi. No. Donald Trump has been negotiating. He got a key point from the Ukrainians. He gave the Russians time to offer something. They offered nothing. They want to keep the war going. He's seeing it. And so I suspect we're going to see Trump engage a little more. Notable J.D. Vance, on stage at the Munich Security Conference, asked about this, says that the bottom line is that the Russians are asking for too much, more than they're ever going to get. And yes, they need to talk to the Ukrainians, and yes, the Ukrainians have demands that are probably too much as well, but the fact that he's singling out the Russians is a noticeable shift from where this administration's rhetoric was before that mineral rights deal.
Follow Eric on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. Search EW Erickson.
220 Cool Carrier WSB 24-hour traffic center. Looks like new trouble heading up through Bartow County, passing Lake Allatoona, 75 north, past Allatoona Gateway, exit 278. Some brake lights there. Closer into town, 285 east and southbound. The Interloop starting to see that afternoon volume pick up, and starting in Doorville from Peachtree Boulevard down into the Tucker region. Traffic brought to you by Dairy Queen. Get big summer flavor in every bite with the new DQ Summer Blizzard Treat menu featuring new mixing bowl mashups, s'mores, and more. Available now. DQ, happy tastes good at participating locations. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
It's the WSB 5K a day bonus blitz. This hour's keyword is cool. COOL. Go to the WSB Radio app or WSBRadio.com/cash for your chance to win. Again, that keyword is cool.
We've always been super cool to you.
COOL. Join me live at 3 for the Von Haessler Doctrine, and I'll have your next keyword and chance to win at 5.
Remodeling your home's exterior requires expertise, experience, and attention to detail. That's what I built my business on. Hi, I'm Scott Nelson, owner of Nelson Exteriors. I'm the siding and windows expert you hear on the Home Fix-It Show, with decades of experience for all things exterior. Windows, siding, painting, roofing, decks, doors, and gutters, all with unmatched quality and craftsmanship. Even the small details are a big deal to us. Get your free estimate, Google Nelson Exteriors.
I'm here with Chris Hoffman, the founder of Hoffman Financial Group and host of Money Unleashed. Chris, with all the things we're reading, seeing, and living through these days, from rate cuts, election season, and now a new administration, now seems like a great time to make sure we have that comprehensive plan in place. You know, the one that covers all our financial bases.
There are occasions throughout the year where I feel like it's critical for people to engage their financial lives and get the information that they deserve from a financial advisory team. And this is one of those times, to be quite frank. So we ask that you call us if you have a minimum of $500,000 in your full portfolio. But we're going to do away with that minimum so that those folks can have an equal opportunity to understand what's in their portfolio as well. Now, you have to have some money, right? I can't help you to build your wealth at work, right? But I sure can help, I believe, with your 401k, IRA management. There's probably 2 or 3 things that'll surprise you that you may want to take action on. So the next 10 people that call in will work up either a portfolio x-ray, or if you feel like you need a full retirement plan, go to unleashyourmoney.com, click on Portfolio X-ray, or click on Full Retirement Plan. We think you'll be impressed enough, and we want you to become a client. There's no question about it. We believe that we are a very competent fiduciary advisory team, and we want to offer that to our listeners. Let Hoffman Financial Group actually show you how we perform, and I believe we perform at the pinnacle of this industry.
Call the Hoffman Financial Group at 404-737-3858, 404-737-3858, or online at unleashyourmoney.com. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Hoffman Financial Group Incorporated, Georgia Insurance License number 163546.
Y'all, it's Eric. I know as a homeowner, you start seeing the cracks in the wall or the door start sticking. You wonder what's going on. You could have a foundation problem. Engineered Solutions of Georgia is the only foundation repair company in Georgia with licensed engineers on staff providing the highest quality of work. If you got concerns, reach out to them for a free inspection. Go to ESOGrepair.com. That's ESOGrepair.com.
Dial 678 ESOG now.
The foods we eat can be downright bad for our health. This is Sue from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've been teaching the truth about real bread. Not the stuff you buy at the store. I'm talking real bread made with freshly milled flour. When you buy bread from the store, take a look at the ingredients. Enriched flour means that the nutritious bran and germ has been removed to improve the shelf life. Then a few B vitamins and iron are added back to replace the multitude of nutrients lost. That's not enrichment in my book. And today, that label may even read contains bioengineered food ingredients. Food should never be bioengineered. At Bread Beckers in Woodstock, we can teach you how to make real bread loaded with fiber and nutrients. A delicious, healthy, affordable solution that can improve your health and change your life. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
All the news, weather, and traffic you need. 95.5 WSB. He may not tell you what you want to hear, but he tells you what you need to hear. It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the phones, you need to know this is happening right now. The United States of America has filed an indictment against Ryan Michael English. Ryan Michael English, I'm reading now from the government's memorandum in support of pretrial detention. Ryan Michael English planned and took significant steps to kill multiple members of the new presidential administration. She did so, in her words, her real name is Riley Jane English, she's trans, in order to depose the United States political offices and send a message. The criminal conduct for which she is before the court is not a momentary lapse in judgment. Rather, it was a premeditated and calculated attempt to commit violence. One day before her arrest, the defendant traveled from her home in Massachusetts to the District of Columbia and along the way purchased bottles of vodka to create Molotov cocktails. Her plan, as she described to United States Capitol Police officers, was to kill the Secretary of Defense, kill the Speaker of the House, or burn down a conservative think tank located in the district. On the way to the district, she switched her target, this time to the nominee for Secretary of the Treasury. She described her plan to officers to either throw her Molotov cocktails at the feet of the nominee for Secretary of Treasury or otherwise stab him to death using a knife she carried on her person. When she arrived to the Capitol on foot and without her phone, so law enforcement could not track her, as she admitted, she spent around an hour surveilling the Capitol to determine the events and locations. As stated to law enforcement officers in a custodial interview on January 27, 2025, the defendant left Massachusetts, where the defendant resides, to travel to D.C. As planned, the defendant purposely left her mobile phone at home in Massachusetts so she could not be surveilled. The defendant traveled to Washington, D.C. with intention of killing the quote-unquote Nazi Secretary of Defense or Speaker of the House or burning down a think tank. It appears that she was radicalized on Reddit. There you have it. Another insane person being driven to radicalism online by the left. Ryan Michael Riley Jane English. Now, I'm confused, actually, as to whether it actually is a male who decided to be a she or a she who decided to be a he, but either way, it's a trans activist radicalized online who decided he wanted to go murder the Secretary of Treasury. Goodness gracious. Y'all, I have invested in Old Glory Bank. They decided to bypass Wall Street for Main Street because there's been a trend, and you can read about it on the Wall Street Journal and elsewhere. Chronicle these major hedge funds and brokers and investment groups that are controlled by progressives who buy up shares of stock in companies and then steer them to the left. And particularly bank stocks. You know, there are a number of banks in this country. You can't use your debit card now to buy a handgun or even ammunition. They control it because progressives convinced the banks to become anti-gun. Old Glory Bank was afraid of that happening to them, so they decided to do their investment strategy directly with Main Street instead of Wall Street. If you're interested in investing in them, you can go to own.oldglorybank.com, O-W-N, own.oldglorybank.com. Find out how to buy shares. I've done it. Stock goes up and down. It's not FDIC insured. You should talk to an advisor if you're interested at all. Own.oldglorybank.com. Talk to an advisor and see if it might be a good fit for you. It's oldglorybank.com.
Live from the Superior Plumbing Studios.
News,
weather, traffic. 95.5 WSB.
Atlanta's news and talk.
At 2:30, I'm Bill Caiaccio with our top story on Smoke Watch at the Vatican. Cardinals meeting now behind closed doors at the Sistine Chapel to select the next pope. White smoke means they've reached a decision. Black smoke means they have to vote again. The more than 130 cardinals who will select the next pope are completely cut off from the outside world during the conclave. Dr. Susan Reynolds with Emory University's Candler School of Theology says 2/3 of the cardinals will have to agree on the new pope.
It's almost impossible to imagine that will happen today. That almost never happens. It hasn't happened for centuries. But it could happen tomorrow. It could happen the next day. And if it draws on longer than that, then that will be something to watch.
Reynolds says the pope not only has to be a good priest, but a good manager because they are in charge of administrative duties as the head of the Catholic Church. WSB Money Update now. The Federal Reserve leaving interest rates unchanged, ignoring President Trump's calls to lower borrowing costs. Real ID laws take effect at the nation's airports today. TSA's Adam Stahl says you can still travel without one, but you'll want to get to the airport extra early.
You'll be okay. You'll be allowed to the checkpoint. It may take some additional screening and additional time, and that's why we're asking to please cushion some time in and arrive to the airport early if you don't have a sufficient Real ID.
Look for the star logo in the corner of your license or ID. The state of Georgia has been issuing them since 2012, so most people here are up to date. A Delta flight from San Juan to Atlanta is delayed because of an unruly passenger. Flight 1946 returned to the gate, and the passenger was taken off the plane. The flight arrived in Atlanta after 10 o'clock last night. Atlanta-based Delta says it has zero tolerance for unruly behavior. It is now 2:32, and this news is sponsored by FGA Roofing.
A word of caution for motorcycle riders. Remember, 18-wheelers have bigger blind spots, and it takes them longer to stop than a smaller vehicle. Eric Von Hassler here to remind you that if an 18-wheeler forces you to lay your bike down, you need to call in Steel Horse Law. Attorney George Stein is a motorcycle rider, and he understands bikers' needs. Get more info and request a free Rider's Advantage card at steelhorselaw.com.
Why are more and more homeowners choosing Rhino Shield over traditional paint?
That's easy because paint contains 60 to 70% of water, and your home needs to be painted every few years because it offers little to no protection for your home.
Rhino Shield is not paint. We've been protecting homes across Georgia for over 20 years. Rhino Shield is made up of 79% solids and will protect your home from Mother Nature and can even make your home more energy efficient.
And it's made right here in the United States. Protect your home with Rhino Shield. Go to rhinoshieldga.com.
This is Andy Harris, President of Coosa Valley Credit Union, with a personal invitation for you to join our newest branches in Woodstock, Canton, or Dallas. We've been in business in Northwest Georgia for 70 years, and we're proud to now offer kinder banking to Cobb, Cherokee, and Paulding County, where you'll always speak to a real person. With 11 locations, Coosa Valley Credit Union is always local and nearby. Experience kinder banking and stop in a Coosa Valley Credit Union branch near you.
Hey, it's Shelley Winter here from my good friends at PalmettoSleep.com. Let's talk about a serious business, sleep apnea. I suffer from it, and whether you've been diagnosed with it or afraid you have it, I have the solution. Palmetto Sleep is here to give you your life back. They make it easy to get help for sleep apnea because living without a good night's sleep is simply no way to live. Palmetto Sleep offers a custom-fitted oral appliance that opens your airway so you naturally breathe the way nature intended. The best part is they offer virtual consultations and in-home sleep testing. No overnight stays at a sleep center. Plus, Palmetto Sleep has all the doctors that you will need. Most appointments are virtual, and it's all covered by your private medical insurance. Don't suffer from another sleepless night or daytime fatigue like I do. Visit PalmettoSleep.com now. Visit PalmettoSleep.com. That's PalmettoSleep.com.
At 2:34, Alex Williams in the traffic center.
Brake lights forming out of downtown into West Atlanta on I-20 westbound due to a crash just before Langhorne Street, exit 54. That's in the left lane. And we're still dealing with the crash up in the Emerson area, Emerson-Altoona, 75 north past Altoona Gateway, exit 278. Should be clearing out of the roadway, but it is causing some delays as you try to make your way up through Kennesaw and Ackworth. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
I'm WSB meteorologist Christina Upwards. Cloudy skies with a few rain showers today, high near 70.
And more rain possible the next couple of days. Right now it is 64 in Johns Creek, 62 in Vinings, 68 in Riverdale. More news at 3 o'clock. Breaking news when it happens. I'm Bill Caiaccio, 95.5 WSB.
Smart, fearless, and occasionally funny. You're listening to The Erick Erickson Show.
Greetings, it is Erick Erickson here. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, I would be very, very happy to have you. 877-973-7425. Don't forget to text data 3323777 to get the show notes, the live stream, the podcast, and so much more. If you get the show notes today, there is a Reuters story. I saw Scott Jennings put this out, but this is wild. Reuters has this story out about Joe Biden's pier in Gaza. And remember, this did get a lot of attention, but Quandarius Stanley, 23, he was an Army sergeant. He lost his life in Gaza, helping build this pier. And now it appears that the pier was more worthless than we originally thought. And we knew it was worthless to begin with. More than 60 service members were injured as part of former President Joe Biden's floating aid pier in Gaza. A Pentagon Inspector General report published on Tuesday said a number significantly higher than had been previously disclosed. The pier announced by Biden during a televised address to Congress in March 2024 was a massive endeavor that took about 1,000 U.S. forces to execute. But bad weather and distribution challenges inside Gaza limited the effectiveness of what the U.S. military says was its biggest aid delivery effort ever in the Middle East. The pier was only operational for 20 days and cost $230 million to build. While there were no deaths or known direct attacks on the pier, the Pentagon has said 3 U.S. soldiers suffered non-combat injuries in support of the pier in May, with one medically evacuated in critical condition. But the new report from the Pentagon says it was actually 62. But wait, there is more from Mary Catherine Ham, who pointed this out based on them saying no one died. Actually, it was U.S. Army Sergeant Quandarius Stanley of South Carolina lost his life to an injury sustained on the mission. This is from the Army Times. The sergeant's awards and decorations include the Army Achievement Medal, Army Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Non-Commissioned Officer Professional Development Ribbon, Army Service Ribbon, Overseas Service Ribbon, and the Driver and Mechanic Badge. Abbey Gate wasn't the only issue. And it's wild that this guy whose death was related to this, it said no one actually died, and actually 62 people were injured. And by the way, it only functioned for about 20 days, less than 20 full days. and delivered hardly any relief. Why did Joe Biden build this? He built it because he wanted to placate the left and a terrorist group called Hamas. He built it because he wanted to show like he was doing something to get the angry left off his back. And in the process, he caused injury to over 60 members of our military, wasted 230 million American dollars, and it didn't do any good. It was barely operational. And in fact, our forces came under attack. But it was Joe Biden and his relentless need to be seen as doing something, even though he wasn't. He is a foreign policy failure and has been a foreign policy failure in this country for decades. And you know, it's wild to me. He gave his first interview out of office, his first formal interview to the BBC, not to an American outlet, but to the BBC, and stumbled and stammered his way through it. And of course, they didn't ask him about this. Ridiculous. Now, I want to move dramatically out of politics to something else because New York Magazine has a very interesting story. It's in the show notes today. It's behind a paywall. I didn't get into it either, but I didn't get into it because I've clicked on enough stories for there that won't let me back in without paying it. I'm not going to pay him money. But if you don't regularly go, you'll be able to get into the story. Just 2 months after OpenAI launched ChatGPT in January 2023, a survey of 1,000 college students found that nearly 90% of them had used the chatbot to help with homework assignments. In its first year of existence, ChatGPT's total monthly visits steadily increased month over month until June, when schools let out for the summer. It wasn't an anomaly. Traffic dipped again in the summer of 2024. Professors and teaching assistants are increasingly finding themselves staring at essays filled with clunky, robotic phrasing that, though grammatically flawless, doesn't sound quite like a college student or even a human. 2.5 years later, students at large state schools, the Ivies, liberal arts schools in New England, universities abroad, professional schools, and community colleges are relying on AI to ease their way through every facet of their education. Generative AI chatbots take their notes during class, devise their study guides and practice tests, summarize novels and textbooks, and brainstorm, outline, and draft their essays. STEM students are using AI to automate their research and data analyses and to sail through dense coding and debugging assignments. It isn't as if cheating is new, but now, as one student put it, the ceiling has been blown off. Who could resist a tool that makes every assignment easier with seemingly no consequence? Now, here's the thing. I was talking to a friend of mine, politician, yesterday, who noted that in his view, we're not necessarily going to see as many jobs lost by AI as people think, but what is going to happen is we probably are going to have people who lose their jobs to those who know how to use AI to benefit their industry. There's something to be said for using AI to explain things to you, to help you analyze things. But, you know, so I've talked to my daughter who's in college about this. She has one professor. It's a great books program. They're really reading the Iliad, the Odyssey, things like that in this great books program. And the professor required that all the homework assignments be done in class and in writing. So she was giving up lecture time in class to make the students do their work in class because she didn't want to have to deal with AI stuff. There are some classes where it's probably appropriate. You know, for example, in certain classes, stats and otherwise, you can probably get AI to help explain homework in a different way that makes it make sense for you, help you find patterns. But the reliance on AI, here's what we know already about AI. First of all, let's do computer programming. This one, I've talked now to several people I would consider experts in computer programming. One of it's his major job. He works for a software company that manufactures well-known programs for Apple. He said that what his company is finding is that as people rely more and more on AI, they can make programs from AI fairly well. But the more complex the program, the less able the AI is to make it. And he says what's happening almost is iterations. And by iterations, he means lack of creativity, lack of ability to create something complex. Now, this is what a lot of people fear Hollywood is going to do. As AI ingests movies and scripts, what's going to happen is you're going to get iterations of the existing. You're not going to get new ideas. As AI is used to design sets, or AI is used to do cinematography, camera angles, to generate scenes, you're going to get things that look increasingly like the same thing. And where the creative person is going to shine is being able to come in and do something new. And it's probably going to cost more money. But at the same time, it's also going to stand out from everybody else's work. In math and science, as AI gets better with numbers, it gets worse with words, and they're not really sure why. There's this wild story in the New York Times that's in the show notes today. Last month, an AI bot that handles tech support for Cursor, an up-and-coming tool for computer programmers, alerted several customers about a change in company policy. It said they were no longer allowed to use Cursor on more than one computer. In angry posts to internet message boards, the customers complained. Some canceled their Cursor accounts, and some got even angrier when they realized what had happened. The AI bot had announced a policy that didn't actually exist. We have no such policy. You're, of course, free to use Cursor on multiple machines, the company's chief executive and co-founder, Michael Truhl, wrote in a Reddit post. Unfortunately, this is an incorrect response from a frontline AI support bot. More than 2 years after the arrival of ChatGPT, tech companies, office workers, and everyday consumers are using AI bots for an increasingly wide array of tasks. But there is still no way of ensuring the systems produce accurate information. The newest and most powerful technologies, the so-called reasoning systems from companies like OpenAI, Google, and the Chinese startup DeepSeek, are generating more errors, not fewer. As their math skills have improved, their handle on facts has gotten shakier. Nobody seems to know why. Today's AI bots are based on complex mathematical systems that learn their skills by analyzing enormous amounts of digital data. They do not and cannot decide what is true and what is false. Sometimes they just make up stuff, a phenomenon some AI researchers call hallucination. On one test, the hallucination rate of newer AI systems was as high as 79%. These systems use mathematical probabilities to guess the best response, not a strict set of rules defined by human engineers. So they make a certain number of mistakes. Despite our best efforts, they will always hallucinate, says Amir Adwala, the chief executive of Vectara, a startup that builds AI tools for businesses and a former Google exec. They'll never go away. The phenomenon is raising concerns about reliability. Though they're useful for writing term paper, summarizing office documents, or generating computer code, the mistakes can cause problems. Again, your kids are going to college and probably experimenting with using AI to do homework. The more you use it, the more mistakes it makes. Nobody seems to understand why. The better it gets at solving mathematical computations, the worse it gets at generating facts. Colleges aren't sure what to do with it because they're not measuring a student's academic prowess and mastery of a subject. They're studying, they're essentially figuring out what a student is good at generating AI with. And it's starting to show when kids get into the workforce now. Those juniors and seniors who started with it and are now getting into the workforce and relying on AI are becoming, again, iterative and less creative. It's one of those things to talk to your kid about as your kid is growing up, particularly your kids getting into high school now, is how people who are overly reliant on AI are losing their creative skill sets. They are sounding more like everyone else. Their words are standing out on the page as being computer generated. And professors are actually, ironically, having an easier and easier time figuring out who in their classes are using AI because the papers are sounding more and more alike and the digital phrasing of the AI is becoming more and more obvious. I just think it's wild, going back to the computer programmers I talked to, that They talk about how easy it is to use AI now to generate computer code to write certain programs, but that they're finding that the computer engineers and software programmers who are more and more reliant on AI are less and less capable of building complex software, that AI itself has limits on the complexity of the software it can build. And again, the created cannot replace the creator. There's been this wild mythology out there that AI was going to replace us, but what we're finding with the AI is just like us. We will never replace God. AI will never replace us. It's making cheap facsimiles of us in the same way when we try to replace God, we make cheap facsimiles of the things God makes. There's kind of an echo of eternity in what's happening with AI right now, and it's not working out well for the people who rely on it the most. Now, I want you to rely on Americans for Prosperity, because Americans for Prosperity can keep you engaged and plugged into the fight for freedom, advancing common sense conservative reforms across the United States. Americans for Prosperity is out fighting for the president's tax cuts. In fact, Americans for Prosperity is on Capitol Hill working very hard to get Republicans to fall in line to come up with a plan for the president's tax cuts. They would really like to get you on their side. They're the largest leading grassroots group in the country. You can check them out on AmericansForProsperity.org. They want you all hands on deck for the fight for the tax cuts. They've got chapters in just about every state. They can keep you informed, fill you in on what you need to do, get engaged in the fight for freedom in the country, and advancing common sense conservative solutions. You go to AmericansForProsperity.org today. AmericansForProsperity.org. Sign up with AFP today. Get involved in the fight for freedom. Get involved in the fight for common sense conservative solutions. Get involved in the fight for the president's tax cuts. The website again is AmericansForProsperity.org. AmericansForProsperity.org.
You're at the intersection of politics, news, culture, and current events. It's the Erick Erickson Show.
250 Coolray Carrier, WSB 24-hour traffic center. Watching all lanes being held right now on the West Freeway. On I-20 westbound, just before Langhorne Street, exit 54 there in West Atlanta. They're trying to drag a stall from the left lane to the right shoulder. That's slowing you out of downtown, but lanes will reopen soon. Traffic brought to you by Mattress Firm. Get matched and sleep at night during Mattress Firm's Upgrade Your Sleep sale. Take 120 nights to love your new bed or your money back. Restrictions apply. Alex Williams, 95.5 WSB.
On air,
online,
on the app,
where you get your news,
is where you'll win.
Download the WSB radio app now and maybe win $1,000.
Are you serious?
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz.
5 words, 5 times a day, every weekday.
OMG! Oh my goodness!
Just enter the word at WSBradio.com or on the WSB radio app.
Your next chance to win is coming up at 5.
The WSB 5K a day bonus blitz
on 95.5 WSB.
That's your garage door. Almost broken, but technically not broken yet. And you know the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So you don't fix it, 'cause it ain't broke. And it gets worse. Until one day, 2 a.m., raining alligators, carload full of dry cleaning, you push the button, and out of nowhere, guess what's broke? Your garage door. At Mo Better Garage, we make that way mo better. A garage door that's almost broken can actually do more damage than one that's fully broke. Jammed up parts put an extra strain on the motor. Rollers out of whack stress the tracks and the belts. Fix it early while it's still a simple repair and before your car gets locked out or locked in. How do I know? Because I'm Mo. Call Mo Better Garage and we'll come over and make it right. Because if it's almost broke, you fix it.
Mo Better Garage, we make it way more better.
MoBetterGarage.com.
If you've been taught that all bread is unhealthy, I'm here to tell you not if it's real bread. Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minute. If you're struggling with weight gain, high cholesterol, constipation, even warts, or kids who seem to be constantly sick, come visit us at the Bread Becker store in Woodstock, where we have taught thousands of customers that real bread might be their healthy solution. I have a degree in food science, and for more than 30 years, I've studied the incredible health benefits of real whole grains and bread. I discovered that store-bought bread has had most of the nutrients in the grain removed during milling, and yes, even packages labeled 100% whole wheat. Make a healthy eating change in your life at Bread Becker's in Woodstock. We'll show you how bread, but only real bread, might be the answer to your family's physical ills. The Bread Beckers. Visit breadbeckers.com or our Bread Beckers store in Woodstock.
WSB Atlanta, WSBB FM, and HD1 Doraville. 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
My whole identity had been wrapped up in being a soldier. To have that so violently ripped from me when I was wounded, I was lost for a very long time. When Wounded Warrior Project came into my life, being around the other warriors, people that had similar experiences that I did, it was a game changer for me. Having King join the group, that was the beginning of a really good friendship. It's a good time.
I first heard about Wounded Warrior Project through CQ. And at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I qualify. But having been a part of it, it's kind of taught me that it's not just the wounds that you can see, but it's those that you can't.
When you do something like a peer support group with Wounded Warrior Project and come together from different walks of life, man, the growth is incredible. If not for Wounded Warrior Project, I really don't think that I'd be here today.
See how we help warriors combat stigma at woundedwarriorproject.org/combat stigma.
Your non-stop news source, 95.5 WSB, Atlanta's News and Talk.
It's the Eric Erickson Show.
Hello there. It is Eric Erickson here. I'm going to ruffle some feathers, I believe, with this that I don't mean to ruffle. So there is a county up in the very northeast corner of Georgia, beautiful, beautiful Rabun County, Georgia, where there is a lake up there, Lake Burton. It's the highest elevation lake in the state of Georgia. And it's a dammed lake generating power for Georgia Power. It flows down into Lake Rabun, and then it gets down into beautiful Habersham County, where I'm on the radio out of Clarksville. Just beautiful area there, God's country. Most of the land in Rabun County is owned by the federal government, so land is very pricey up there. There's a lot of national parks up there, national forests up there, I should say. And it's a beautiful part of the country. You do want to preserve a lot of that. You don't want to overdevelop it, but at the same time, there's also just piles and piles of land that nobody can get access to because it's all federal land, and you can only build so many homes up there because the county's so overrun with federal land. Well, House Republicans have added a plan to raise billions of dollars to help pay for the president's tax cuts through the sale of thousands of acres of federal land. Politically charged even within the GOP, the plan's a late-night addition to legislation prepared by the House Natural Resources Committee that mandates the sale of dozens of parcels of land totaling 11,000 acres. Now, this isn't going to affect Rabun County. Those in Rabun County, relax, not going to affect you, just Utah and Nevada. 11,000 acres in Utah and Nevada. The committee's legislative package would raise more than $18 billion through increasing federal oil, gas, and coal leases, as well as timber sales and other means. The Republicans aim for $2 trillion in spending cuts. Not a novel way, a bad way to think about it, though. Sell timber from federal land, make some money there. Sell oil and gas and coal leases on federal land, make some money there. Sell some federal land. The federal government is the largest landholder in Nevada and Utah. Federal government is the largest landholder in Rabun County, Georgia. And you can't tax them for the land, so the local governments don't get tax revenue. Open up some land. I wouldn't mind a nice mountain house in Rabun County. One day I'd perfectly want a Lake Burton or Lake Rabun, and those are like, I mean, we're talking $5 to $7 million. So got to win the lottery to get something like that one day. But it's just wild to me to see so much land locked up in the federal government that they're not really doing anything with it. Sure, they're preserving it for us for hiking trails and stuff like that. But is it all that necessary, particularly in Nevada and in Utah? Is it all that necessary? Selling some of that land to developers, selling some of the land to people who could buy it. I mean, sell it to the environmentalists. Let the environmentalists buy it and keep it in some sort of covenant, in some sort of trust. Why not? It's not a problem. Open up the land. sell it. The federal government doesn't need it. Ironically, though, when I was in Vegas last week golfing, I was golfing in northern Las Vegas. There was a mountain ridge, and there was a fence. You can't get over the fence, even though the mountains were at a distance, and the caddy was like, you can't go over there. That's where Area 51 begins. Massive. Now, listen, I understand the need to keep people away from Area 51 so you have massive tracts of land, but it's not all about that. Some of it's just the government bought it years ago, and they're not doing anything with it. So sell some of the federal land, fundraise off of it, give you a one-time bump in tax revenue for Washington to offset the tax cuts. I think it's a perfectly good idea. Now, those of you up in Southern Pines, North Carolina, don't forget I'll be up there on Friday broadcasting with you. You can go to WEEB990.com. Check information there for more details on Friday. And the rest of you, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, I'll sound even better tomorrow from all this congestion.
WSB consumer expert Clark Howard.
I have an obsession about these terrible deaths that keep being reported from people on vacation in hotels or Airbnbs where they die of carbon monoxide poisoning. This is something that has been going on for a while, and that's why you can go on Amazon or eBay or Walmart.com and you can buy a traveling carbon monoxide detector. They're really small devices that you take with you to a hotel room or to an Airbnb so that you don't have that silent killer carbon monoxide take you out. And in your own home, if you don't have carbon monoxide detectors, please rethink this. They're so cheap to buy, and what a cheap way to save your life. I'm Clark Howard.
News, weather,
Traffic. 95.5 WSB. Atlanta's News and Talk.
At 3 o'clock, I'm Bill Caiaccio. News is sponsored by Dr. Roof. Our top story, watching for smoke at the Sistine Chapel. Cardinals from around the world are meeting behind closed doors at this hour for the conclave to select the next pope. Before beginning the conclave, cardinals take an oath of secrecy. In case you're wondering what's going on behind closed doors as the cardinals vote on a new pope.
If you're picturing what happened in the movie Conclave,